Hey everyone, and welcome to Witchy Talk. Nicola coming in from the NZ, and Sophia will be joining us later from the AZ. So yeah, we're really excited tonight. Carly is popping in. Yeah, we're excited to flow with other beautiful people that we know in our lives, to jump onto Witchy Talk and share wisdom and just converse and flow with the journeys that we have all experienced over our lives, and how we are going with the flow and taking it all in, integrating it, and bringing it through, so that we can be present in the moment, so that we can allow and receive, so we can have the courage to step forward and step into um, our lives more fully, be more present, and have the courage to enjoy life and have fun and be happy. Have the courage to be happy and let it all go. So, yeah, I'm excited for tonight's call. And yes, we are here for it, here for Witchy Talk from the AZ to the NZ. It's all happening. And yeah, this chat is going to just flow, unfold, unravel, and be what it will be. And thank you for joining us here for this Witchy Talk episode.
He's, what are you doing? I'm like, it's Witchy Talks,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I know, like you and I are always on this, like the central nervous system, like after your, that big crashing of the system and stuff and all the stuff leading up to it. And I know I had a big crashing of the system, and I really I just want to celebrate how far we've come,
Yeah.
to understand ourselves, right? Um, and just be so aware of those times, and your body was screaming out, and the little blips and notes and things and signs that we didn't see before, and how much that can just change our whole state of being, um, by having a closer understanding of self and honoring like the presence and calming and breath. Today it was neat because I usually go, because I mean, I was on medication for years, like 2 decades. And so sometimes I'll get this, like, it'll come in my heart, like a clenching, like anxiety just kind of comes in. It's like, whoop. And I'll go, okay, I hear you, I see you, and I'll kind of unpack a little bit of like where it's coming from. And then as soon as I see where it comes from, that obviously takes some of that power away, because I've found source of the pain or whatever it is. And then I always add breath, right? And I add breath and just practicing with that. And today I was noticing that I would get the feeling, and then I'd be like, okay. And then I immediately just went,
Oh, yeah.
and I didn't even have to prompt my breath. So it was really neat to see the systems connecting and the reprogramming to allow for that space. So
Yeah, the regulating yourself naturally without even really needing to think about it. Like I have been, yeah, in situations where you can feel a little bit of like heightened, not necessarily anxiety, but just knowing that you're in a situation where there's a lot of people around, or you're feeling like like you're not in your regular environment. And then I've just naturally started just breathing without even having to be like, oh yeah, I need to do that breathing to calm myself down. I should do that. I just have naturally done it anyway. So it's really like reprogramming yourself to recognize, when you need to do those things and just to do them. Yeah.
yeah, before you get caught in the panic, right? What I've noticed for myself is I'll be there and like present. All of a sudden, it's like an energetic like connection cord to a person,
Hmm.
or my kids, or my dog, and I go, "Bleh," and it's like, what are they doing? How are they doing? Like this energetic check-in. But I have to realize, and then these things come up, like, oh, do I feel guilt? What is it? Do I feel like I miss that person? Do I feel like there's something I need to tell? That, like, it's this, it comes in, and then as soon as I realize, okay, no, okay, kids are okay, dog misses me, but she's having a good time at grandparents,
Yeah.
and groceries I'm going to get at this time, and I just reorganize some of the space around myself, and then I can have that space again. And it's just
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny, the little things that, we call it shark music because I'm doing this circle of security. It's a parenting program, so my work is paying for me to be doing a facilitator course.
Oh,
And yeah, so it's a week-long training, and it's pretty cool. And but in it you talk about shark music, like da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na,
yeah.
da-na-na-na-na. And so recognizing that, like, when you're with kids or anybody, and when that shark music comes up, you get to go, what's that coming from?
Yeah.
Right? Is it
Yeah.
childhood trauma, or whatever your belief systems are? Maybe is it ancestral? Is it, something that's coming up? And yeah, so recognizing my shark music.
That's interesting because then it kind of makes it a little bit comical as well. So when you feel like you're in that space
Yes.
and then you hear the shark music, the Jaws music in your head, and then it kind of takes away from it a little bit because I mean, it's
Yeah.
a horror movie and it was a very traumatic movie for me, but it's kind of like a little bit comical now as well.
Totally. And it makes it like relatable and shareable, and a little bit lighter, because especially when there's the dynamics of parents
Mm.
and they're trying to, essentially figure out what's going on, with the parenting or how they're responding to things and together. So parents will be like, well, that was hit my shark music, and
Yeah.
it's not like, you're triggering me. It's
Yeah.
a kind of jovial way of going about it. And we all know that humor is such a nice part of like this process.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, it is. It's a release, right? When you can, yeah, just laugh it out or,
Mm.
yeah, it's a good way to be able to shake stuff off. Yeah, humor.
Puts it light. I feel it puts me like in the lighthearted space,
Yeah. Shifts
So
it.
like, yeah, so there's like those different spaces in my heart of like, okay, this is some deep places you can go, and then there's a griefy place, and then there's a lighthearted place, and it's like after work I want to stay lighthearted.
Yeah.
So keep the jokes rolling.
Yeah. Exactly. Shifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like, yeah, and you do
Mhm.
feel it in a different part of your body, right? You totally do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that heaviness of like behind and back of the heart, really it has that drawing down where we hide stuff away. So, yeah, feeling
Yeah.
joy and that lightness in the top. Yeah, makes sense totally. And the laughter and the giggles, like in the group that we're in, when we get the giggles, then it just,
Yeah.
it ripples through when you're on the screen and Zoom with everyone, and it's just contagious. So,
It is. It's a frequency, right? It's definitely a place, I think, that, I know they used to have like those laughter groups.
mm,
Yeah, you go there and just start laughing, and I've done exercises like that in with during my schooling and stuff, and it's like, I'm like, oh, this is the last thing I want to do, and you're like, okay, and you just pretend to laugh, and
yeah,
then everyone starts laughing, and next thing you know you're laughing, and you're like, oh, I'm all bubbly now.
yeah, feels good. Yeah. When
Yeah.
hey, I'm sure everyone's watched it now, and you've seen where it was a French talk show, and they got heaps of people together that all had really weird laughs. Have you seen that?
Oh, I saw the ad for it.
Oh, yeah. And they're all doing their weird, like Jimmy Carr laughs, and like they sound like ducks and geese and weird, and it's just contagious. So, yeah,
Yeah. I know. Well, it's one of God's gifts is laughter. So there's something there that we can utilize. And
yeah,
yeah, I try to bring it with we're at work, too sometimes, and because my work's great, like it's going really well, right? It's allowing the natural progression of what I did ask the universe for was like a flexible schedule, and then it came to me. Um, wasn't planning on going back to a place of work that I was at, but it's been a really cool to go back after 6 years, and because I've had a major transformation, right? And the system is changing, and it's crumbling essentially. And being part of that, just as a light worker too, it's really um I don't know, it feels exactly where I'm supposed to be. It's not my own business right now, but I feel there is aspects of healing I bring where I walk, and others too. And it's cool to see other people that are also engaging in like the systemic components, but priestesses or whatever it is. This girl I just met, and we got talking, and she's like, right away, I'm like, oh, you're speaking my language, She's like, how do we have this human experience and weave it into where we walk, um,
Yeah.
before we get to the stage of whatever that is, full autonomy of the energy exchange of currency, right?
Yeah.
So,
And if you're feeling like, your workplace, all those systems are breaking down and you're a light worker, then you're like, if they can like
mhm.
put it back up in a different way, then you might have like some say in things, or they may, yeah, be like,
Totally.
what's your perspective on this? What do you think, we should do with this if it's all falling apart? So what do we do now?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we do. We have really great conversations. And, when there's things crumble, there's just room for more space, right? So that's what I like to get creative. And when we have our check-ins, it's like we always check in about our biases and, the things. And then it's like, well, this is happening. Like, how do we get in front of that? I wish we had a service for this. I wish we had a service for this. So we're putting these little wishes out there. And so who knows, right? Who knows what will come? But at first, going back to the work, I was like, oh, I'm taking a step backwards, But then it's like, no, everything aligned. I've got my 4 days a week I work. It's very independent work. I'm responsible for my clients, and no one's breathing down my neck, and very awesome manager and colleagues. And 4 days a week. And I'm like, just walk it, Carly.
Yeah.
Chop wood, carry water. This is exactly where you're supposed to be, and see what unfolds, right? So yeah, and knowing when, like, it's like things like that come in that you feel pulled to, because I've found this baseline by having, not a lot of stress on me, essentially, um by finding that place without a lot of stress externally and internally. And then tonight when you said witchy talks, I'm like, that's a yes,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you get to have
Yeah.
the
Full body.
intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Or
fuck.
like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, you might have to stay up later or wake up earlier, but that's something that's
Yeah.
you feel called to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. It's yeah, noticing, and part of, my breakdown and things was, and when you get into that dysregulated state, like I found it so hard to make decisions and be discerning about what I wanted to do, and what what you should do, and you start, second guessing yourself and weighing everything up and writing a million lists. And then, when it comes down to it, it's feeling into your body, like you said, like if it's a fuck yes, like if it's got that forward momentum to it, and using yourself like a pendulum, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, noticing how it makes you feel. And I can't remember
Yeah.
who said it, but it's like follow your excitement, like following the what excites you is the best way to flow through life. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it's that what fills your cup, right? So things like this, where we get to talk a little bit outside the, regular language that is more typical these days. It's like, for me, that fills my cup, and so I know that in as part of this harmonious way I'm trying to juggle life, it's leaning into those parts, because it feels good in here somewhere, and I know that it's part of that love spectrum and that creative energy. Then it's good for me. It's good for my body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. It's like that whole cohesive package where, yeah, it's fueling and feeding into, nourishing everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned too, because I know you talked about like your identity crisis, and I think that's part of like the transformation of stuff, right? Like some people, um, like for me, it was like there's always been like there's been a full spectrum of Carly, right? But I really found this one pie piece that I really resonate with, and being able to introduce that in like conversations or anywhere, knowing those points of when you can kind of be at that level of yourself that you really resonate with most,
Mm.
um, and then fully becoming into it. There's those, I think there's a push and pull that happens
Mm.
in that transformative stages.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. And like it is, as when you're younger, you think like, this is just my life and I'm just me. And but as you get older, like you're like, there's chapters and there's these peaks and valleys, and you're like, some of the things that, and that talking like this, makes you sound older because we are. And it's
Yeah.
like these like big like chapters of time where you're like, I did that and I went out and that's what I was doing and that was my philosophy and view on life and that's what I was doing in my jobs, and but it's all part of me, and it's like, yeah, like you say, this pie piece of like what I'm really about, but it's like all those, it's all learning points, like
Yeah.
all of the
Yeah.
different aspects. And I like you love gene keys and
Mhm.
that also, astrology and like figuring out why all these things feed into the way we are. And for me, being a Gemini, I just like, I feel like I've lived a million lives already because I'm so interested in so many different things that I want to explore things, but on a really short timeline sometimes. Like,
Oh, and it's exciting. It's
yeah, yeah.
exciting.
Totally, totally. But then it all kind of feeds back into your personality and figuring out like how to integrate that as a whole, where,
Mhm.
that identity crisis, a lot of it was because my hair,
Mm.
breaking off from bleaching and from, having the nervous breakdown and the stress. And so losing it. But, there is that also that aspect of like when you have like a crumbling away of certain aspects of your life, then yeah, it's almost like a rite of passage, I feel a little
Mhm.
as well, like coming into the wholeness of yourself. Sometimes you really yeah, not necessarily need to have that, but yeah, like to be able to look at all those different aspects of self and feel like integrated and building yourself back up from
Mhm.
that, but also being able to look and think, well, how do I really want to be
Mhm.
if I've gone through that? Like, what do I really want to be in the world if I've had this crumbling away and I feel like I'm a shell of myself? Then what
Yeah.
do I really value that I want to put back out there rather than just building, a shit pile back up? It's like, well, no,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Totally. And having like that grace woven in, right? Because it's there's just always got to be grace. It's like it's like am I doing my best? Yes, I'm doing my best, Could I do better? Well, probably, but I'm doing my best right now, and I'm doing my best and continuing to acknowledge that, and then when there's times that a lot of it too is like the throat chakra. It's the the that high heart too, the thalamus, is it, or what is it, between the heart and the throat chakra, and it's like where you,
Thyroid? No?
yeah, yeah, so it's kind of like where the words of your heart come out to speak,
Mm.
and finding that place is been that's what I'm like kind of fine tuning, because I really enjoy when I speak and I think back and I'm like, oh, I just said that. Yeah, that actually is how I feel, like really, truly, deeply.
Yeah,
and
wow. Yeah.
and not and grounded, not to, like contextual to where you are and who you're speaking with, but being able to relay yourself in a way that is true to the moment, right? And because as you change, like everyone's changing at their own metamorphosis, right? And I think it's always going to continue, and that's what's exciting too. So I always have to be okay with the flaws of self,
Mm.
because it's that, it's just part of it, right? And love that. That's the courage and the bravery, just to be able to decide to um live a life that, you've been implanted with this seed of awareness now. Like we all are one. Like there's a whole consciousness, this paradigm shift of what's happening. um and what lane it is, it's like I'm choosing to see it and be it and walk it, because that's where I feel the healing. My body tells me, my mind tells me, my heart tells me, my kids tell me, um but yeah, there's just that keeping connected to that. And then sometimes I'll go, oh, and then I lose my words. It's
Mm.
like it'll just kind of shut off. It's funny. I don't know. And then
Mm.
I'm like, oh, just ground yourself and be back into present. And
Mm.
it it's definitely more of a flowy way of living
Mm.
right now. You can just
Yeah.
speak up what's on your heart, but and using the four agreements too. Like, did I take that personally? Am I assuming? And it sounds like there's a lot of like paying attention, and it's not really. It's these micro
Mm.
moments of touching base with self. Like it's, I don't know. I think I read like individualization or something, when you just really become the individual.
Yeah, I love talking about that yeah, and
Mhm.
that's your shadow and all those little aspects of self. So yeah, individuation is yeah,
Mhm.
becoming whole essentially, but loving the dark parts of yourself, not necessarily, not shutting them away, and we can like process through them, but unless you're Gandhi, then it's still going to be little bits there. Like
Yeah.
we're not all going to be the Dalai Lama, so there's going to always be bits of shadow there, and to not shut it away and to sit with it and to allow it to come up and to not feel shame around those aspects. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but it's bravery,
Mhm.
and courageous to sit with and go into all of those processes that yeah, sometimes needed to look at those darker aspects of self. And like you say, sometimes the words don't come, and sometimes they just need to be in stillness and
Mhm.
not speak, and
Yeah.
then times, when that coherence is there and everything is flowing, and you're like, yeah, wow, yeah, like I just said that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's true. I recently kind of had this thing come in of, when the heart just heart needs to listen, and when the heart needs to speak, or feels to listen, and finding like that discernment, because maybe that's it too. Maybe when I can't find my words, I'm just meant to sit and listen. Right. And I often do. I'm a good listener, but sometimes I don't find the words, and I'm like, and I'm like, you're just here, you're just holding the space, or
Yeah.
because we're so used to saying something to help ease the person, or show that, oh, I see you. But sometimes I think it's just the presence of being able to receive the listening. And
Yeah.
yeah. And
100%.
then you can see, and when people are like friends or whatever, when people are upset about, you can see yourself in it too, right? Like, it's like, oh, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that feeling, or
Yeah,
I've done that.
exactly. I've been there. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that is that holding space and being able to listen and to not need to interject or correct or find a solution, and will not need to problem solve for the situation that's being presented, through someone else's troubles
Hmm.
through. It's yeah. But as you go through things yourself, you can feel into your own solutions and how we dealt with things, and then that is, where there is the times you want to offer, you know, offer services, but that's what's come through, for me a lot. I've learned in the last few years through looking at the human design and
Mm.
a projector, and it's like waiting for the invitation, like you can't, unsolicited advice giving, you know
Mm.
really trying to save someone, or I guess, there's that savior complex where it's not necessarily I want to save you because I want to be the one that saves you, but you're like, I can see, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. But then someone else is the same for you. They're like, I can see where you need to like chess pieces on a board and you can't see it for yourself. And I watched something recently.
No.
I don't know if it was like Sadhguru, it was someone, and they were saying the same thing. Like, it's like you can be in complete disarray, but then
Yeah.
be able to see how, the beautiful advice for someone else in another situation, because there's that separation or something maybe, or it's, yeah. And then you're like, oh yeah, I should do that. Oh yeah, I should do that.
I see that sometimes. I'm talking to myself here too.
Yeah,
Middle of a conversation. I think I'm talking to myself actually.
yeah.
This might not be for you right now.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it's all perspective as well, isn't it? And everything is a reflection outside of
Yeah.
ourselves, it's a reflection for our own things. So whatever someone else has got going on is like something that we can look at in ourselves as well. So it's, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's really cool because like, everyone that's coming in your path there's a reason, and maybe it's from, just walking by, but you never know who you're going to interact with. And when and you have this feeling like when you live in a way of believing that you're in alignment, which I do believe I'm in alignment with some high level of path I'm on. It's definitely not the same path I used to be on. So it's going in a direction of the spiral is upwards, and passing past the same past points, but seeing it in a different perspective now has been beautiful. So when you go and you bump into somebody or whatever, and you can make that moment like feel present, you can feel like you're guided to that moment. And even if it's just an exchange of buying a pack of gum or whatever, um, I don't know, just, dropping into those moments sometimes is just another way of like feeling alive, right? It's not just about getting to the next checkpoint. It's like, enjoy the journey.
100%.
Because,
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, totally
yeah.
said totally about, yeah, the spiral is upwards now, and then when you get to those same situations that are maybe reoccurring, there's, yeah, or things that you're dealing with, there's a new perspective on things. And yeah, and you read something or you learn something new, and it shines new light on how to deal with something, and you kind of pass through that
Oh,
gate at a different level of, frequency or consciousness or understanding, or you have a new lens to look at it through, and you can move through it with a bit more grace. And but yeah,
yeah.
interesting you said, like those interactions, you might just be buying a pack of gum or something. During my nervous breakdown, like I could not look at anyone in the eyes, anyone. It was a bizarre, weird feeling, like
Mm.
my parents, barely my friends when I was at work. Like it's something that I noticed throughout it, and I really noticed it, and I was trying to feel into what that was, but it was because, yeah, like I still haven't really felt into it completely, but I feel like it's because, I guess, because I could feel that everyone could see my suffering, and that I just felt like my suffering was just so like on my face,
Yeah.
and that everyone could see it, and people probably couldn't, but I just felt like, because it was so wrought inside me, that it was like out there for everyone to see. But now I've really noticed that there is, yeah, like I really find a connection with like making eye contact with people, and being very particular about that, and building that connection with, yeah, just people that are buying stuff from your shop, or when you go into, yeah, a convenience store, or just wherever, to acknowledge other people. We're all just
Yeah.
trying to do life. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Connect,
That's,
have that
yeah.
capacity to be seen and understood by other people, even if it's in an instant. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And just a different of perception too, right? And that, when you look at someone and it's just, when I was a kid once, I just had this, I forget where we were, but cars would drive by and I was like, every car has like people in it, and every person has their own big story, their own universe. And so the vastness of that, right? Because all of the little things that come off of each person of that, nucleus of a family and their dynamics, and that expands out, right? And then all these different people and how we're all in this big world together. And when you can, like, yep, go in passing and just, know that you're in a network
Mm.
of a bunch of different universes that are all combined in one. And
Yeah.
it's just, why not?
Yeah, it's like those overlapping of each universe. Like I just saw, like we're all our own universe with the spirals, with the arms
Mhm.
spiraling out, and they're like overlapping. And sometimes they
Yeah.
merge more, and sometimes they just skim past
Mhm.
each other. But yeah, everyone has got just as much going on as each other, and it's like all of these, different levels of things.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think as you become more aware too, like when you begin to like start to see your own shit too, and you're like, oh, I think this is a me problem, because it's always usually comes back to me. Like either putting myself in a situation or with somebody or whatever it is that I really actually don't want to be there, or there's a boundary within myself that I'm crossing that I don't even know why. And then, when the universe will kind of keep bringing those back to you. And then when you can go, well, even for, have an intention, right? Like, I want to, ask for guidance. Like, I want to know how I can get through this scenario. How come I feel like, just ask for help or look for it. And then it becomes like, it's like you become like it's a relationship with yourself, right?
Mm.
So it's the longest one you're going to have. And I just find it really beautiful to be able to weave that too with others, because I know I'm not alone, right? Like there's so many others that are looking to kind of take the reins of their own life, in the co-creation with the universe, and live out of fear and recognize fear when it's there and unpack why, and um, just love all of yourself, and believe that everybody is doing the best with what they got. That's, I just go, if I know that that person, whatever they did or said, or they're just doing the best they got, know with what they got and they have, and that's it. And it takes like this expectation that life should be different than it just is.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. And that's when we're not living in the moment, right? Because there's an expectation of what we perceive life should be. And so we're not ever present in it. And
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of realized from when I was younger that I don't have that many memories from some parts of my life. And I think that that is because I wasn't actually present in it properly. And that's why I can't remember it. I was always in anxiety or depression and fearful or, dwelling on. And so I was always external from the present moment. So that's why I can't really remember too much of what happened then, because
Mhm.
I wasn't actually there. So if you're walking around like a zombie, just like, bouncing off life, then you're not
Mhm.
with it. And yeah. So I don't know. That's just my own perception, maybe
Totally.
the way that I'm trying to figure out, why I can't remember certain things. And
Yeah.
it's kind of just what dropped in. And so if we can be more present with life, and in the moment, then yeah, like you say, you'll notice things dropping in and those synchronicities that we can follow. And yeah, life will be more memorable because it has
Yeah.
meaning, because there's
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Juicier.
yeah, yeah, juicier, totally, and more vibrant. And it dropped in the other day that I was just sitting out the back in the sun reading my book, and I was like, I'm choosing every moment, everything that happens in my life, I'm choosing it now. I'm not just like bouncing off all of the situations and things and people and ways that, life is throwing you around. I'm like, I'm choosing everything now. And that's, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even think, sounds weird saying it. I didn't even think about it, but I did. But it wasn't, yeah, I wasn't aware of the thought in my head
Epiphany.
until it dropped in. Yeah, epiphany, totally. Yeah.
I know, isn't that it's neat. Well, I think too when we're going through life, and where we cope, right? And I don't or we're going through a trauma, whatever it is. And in our coping mechanisms, mine was alcohol a lot. There was so much going on that I was just like, system malfunction, bring this, whatever it was, down a bit.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that memory part you speak of too, or they say, like, with childbirth, they say that you forget it so that you'll do it again, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So maybe we're forgetting all these mini births throughout our life, or who knows, right? But
So you're
yeah,
American.
I know. I was thinking about that the other day. Like, there's been so much of my life, and I can only remember, like, if you ask me, here's a handful right now, but once I unpack each, there's so much. But on my frontal lobe or wherever it is right now, is just like not much. Like, everything is so much right now. Like, I think because the past, we've just come so fast to where we are today too. Like, there wasn't TVs that long ago, and now we've got AI, and everything is happening so fast. We don't have a lot of time to reflect.
Mm.
Um, but it's good to reflect. I think, it is good to look back and go, wow, we're here now. Like, this is for real.
This is happening. Yeah. 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 Definitely. And yeah, like the reflecting, like you say, on ourselves, but with each other as well, with what other people have got going on, and
Mm,
taking the time to kind of contemplate everything as a whole rather than just do what's my list, what are all of the
mm,
jobs to do, like what else is going on around me, what are all the other timelines that
mhm,
can offer around me with all the different people that I know and their timelines and trajectories, and just contemplating. I think that's one of the biggest tools. And
mhm.
your Gene Keys guide.
Yeah, the Gene Keys. I know. That was huge. That was a big moment for me. That was like aha, wow, this the power of words, I think how we speak, words are spells. And when certain words come together, and like with Richard Rudd, and I mean a lot of other people too, and how they speak, it's like the words are one thing, but there's a space between the words, and that's what like. There's a resonation when you speak, the tone and the pitch and everything, and then in between.
I don't know, is it me or is it you?
Like, this is cool, right? And then yeah, and certain things do just totally, you can feel it when you're meant to hear it.
Mm. And I love that, feeling into the space between the words, because not everything is said, and the words are only a small, portion of what
Mhm.
is actually communicated. But
Yeah, and certain things do just totally, you can feel it when you're meant to hear it.
mm. And I love that, feeling into the space between the words, because not everything is said, and the words are only a small, portion of what
Mhm.
is actually communicated. But yeah, if we can slow down and listen more, then to more than just the words. Um,
Mm-hmm. How does it feel, right? Like, yeah, because you're knowing the words, but there's a deeper feeling than knowing, like, oh, the dog ran across the street. And then when you hear something that's like, oh, in this format that is particular to your gene keys, right? The time, place, date, and everything that you're born. It's really powerful. So I'm really grateful that he's brought that forward for humanity, because it's really um, it's shifting. It's there's certain people. For me, I think my love language is, what is it? Words of, either words. I don't know.
it's affirmation, is it?
Words of affirmation. Yeah. Um, because to me, words have always really hurt me, but they've also really, I felt a lot of love from them. So giving gifts and that sort of stuff. So I think that maybe is why it really resonates as well is because it's comes in the word format, which is like similar to music, and that really moves me as well. And you know, finding your stream.
Mm-mm-mm. It is, isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
creative. Yeah.
the music when that comes in, isn't it, is really powerful.
Mhm.
It's definitely
Yeah. Music is medicine, that's for sure.
the yeah, interesting thing that I learned recently through a study or that my sister did is that you were talking about the inflections in your voice earlier and
Hmm.
different note inflections, and I don't know what they are, but I found it really interesting. So just yeah, it could be something to research
Hmm.
more for me that I want to amongst all the other things. But if
Yeah.
there's certain notes that if you inflect high or deflect lower with when you're speaking relates to different trauma aspects in your communication or in your that you're holding in your body. So I found that incredibly fascinating based on how you inflect with your notes when you speak. Yeah,
Wow.
really, really interesting to feel into.
Yeah.
It's how we're communicating. So if you're inflecting up on a certain note, it's like fear, or if you're, yeah, or, or
Yeah.
comfort or shame or all these different things that we're like actually communicating with the pitch and the volume and all these different aspects of our voice that, yeah, subconsciously
Yeah.
even communicating it somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, I was collecting some songs. I called it songs that resonate, like certain songs that like have that I just, when it just pulls you in, you're just like, ah. And a friend of mine who's a musician, um, we found like a common denominator in all of it. And I can't remember right now, as it's sixes or I don't know. Um, that this certain key, I think it is, or note or something, and it's a nostalgic. Like I like there's a nostalgic vibe I like, I
Yeah.
guess, that I'm yeah, but like you said, there's like the pain ones and
Yes. Yeah, and there's probably the ones that inflect, love and joy and all these other beautiful
Mhm.
things. But yeah, what the analysis was looking at, the negative or the ones that were causing disharmony in her body, rather than, yeah, there's probably other as well. So yeah, found it really
It's cool.
fascinating. Yeah.
Well, if you look at us all as just energy, right? It'll make no wonder that it can sink into our cells.
And communicate that way. It's like you're subconsciously trying to communicate to the people around you. And, I guess some people would pick it up, in your voice, but
Mm.
maybe that's been lost over time, through
Mm.
generalized.
You have a very loving cadence to you're very soothing in your tone or whatever it is. But whenever you do your meditations or anything or you leave a message for me, it's always like, like certain people and just like listening to their voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
you've got you got a good voice.
Oh, thanks.
Good everything. But I love when you leave the message and maybe part of it is that accent too.
Mm,
Um it's
yeah.
really beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of work on it when I was younger as well, like kind of speech therapy a little bit. I used to mumble and run all my words together, but that's just being young and insecure and so you have to learn how to breathe properly and I wasn't breathing properly, so we had to do that and then enunciating all of your words and finishing your words with your mouth rather than just running everything together in one long sentence.
Yeah, you're good at that. That's something that I notice. It's like I think I can stream my words together sometimes and then I'll get muddled. So it's nice because it's like there's an ending to the words and
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something. So you've had training.
A little bit, yeah. A TED Talk. Oh, TED Talks. Oh my gosh. I'll do a TED Talk one day, maybe.
Yeah.
What's it called? Toastmasters. I did
Oh,
Toastmasters.
oh yeah, that's right.
It's only like not even a year, but it's everything all feeds in and helps.
Good
Yeah.
for you. That's awesome.
And so
That takes courage too.
yeah, it did definitely, and complete fear of speaking. When at college and primary school and flunking, English because I refused to get up and do a speech and you know
Yeah.
things like
See,
that.
I get that.
Yeah.
I just can draw a blank. I'm getting way better at it, but I did it the other night. I forgot my daughter's boyfriend's dad's name, and I like said it, and then 2 minutes later I forgot it, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. And I'm like, that was so embarrassing. I literally felt embarrassed. The embarrassing feeling, like, oh my god. And then I'm just like, Daisy, tell him I have a brain glitch. And it'll happen in university. I couldn't get up and speak in front like I would, but it would just be a train crash.
Yeah.
And but learning to move through that, right? Because it's really almost debilitating.
It can be totally,
Yeah.
and yeah, but I mean, working in like the service industry helped, like being in retail and being, front of house, in restaurants and cafes, all those kind of things help, build character and
Mhm.
build that out of you. But yeah, I was the I was the subway attendant that always went bright red whenever I had to serve anyone.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
would you like that toasted? And especially when the hot businessmen would come through, and you're just like this.
Yeah. I was like that except at McDonald's when I was 14. We go we go cheese on till 4. If a cute guy came in on till 4, we go cheese on till 4, and then everyone will look. Code for hot guy.
Oh, that is so funny.
Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, it's all confidence building, isn't it? Oh, Sophia's coming in. Yay.
Oh, cool.
Shit, yeah. I was like, Carly is here tonight. I can feel it. I'm loving it. Yes.
Ah,
Bringing you in, girl. Bringing you in.
It's after midnight. I might turn into a gremlin.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks
Witchy
for
talk
showing
after
up.
midnight. What better time? The witching hour.
Shit, yeah.
Right?
So good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're just rolling and flowing with it. We haven't had any particular, yeah, format. We've just been chatting about life, really, how we move through it. Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah,
Moving through it.
that's right.
Moving through it, grooving through it,
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Being the
I
creator of it, but also ebbing and flowing with all the other stuff that can come in and yeah.
Yeah, moving like water, just flowing, flow like the river. Was it? The river doesn't try and move the boulder, it just flows around it. It's like
Mm,
flow with it. Mm.
yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. I spend a lot of time at the river. We don't have like oceans or anything where I'm at. I can drive to California anywhere from like 5 to 7 hours from me.
Mm.
But usually if I find water, there's a couple of creeks where the rivers kind of blend.
Mm.
Just north of me, up in Sedona, Flagstaff area, a couple hours.
Mm.
And you can see the boulders and over time how the river does flow, but as it's flowing over years and years, thousands of years, those rocks become smoother,
Mhm.
over time. So all those rough edges are kind of ran through the water. And as time goes on, and so is our journey, then things kind of smooth themselves out. And
Yeah.
and typically due to rough waters, rough running waters.
Yeah, all that turbulent water, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Everything in our past has brought us to today, right?
Yeah,
Heck yes.
yeah, we were. And that each time you kind of loop around, I loved that, Carly, how you mentioned that every time you kind of loop around to something, it's like spiraling up and there's a new perspective on things as we move and shift. And yeah.
Mm.
new understandings or learn something new, and we're always integrating new thought processes or breath work or different techniques, then we can have a different view on these things. So it all helps us on our journey. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Putting, I think the first one we were talking about before, like about, when you're in like coping stages or of life or like in the trauma, it's really hard to not feel like you're being victimized if you are being victimized, and to get out of that. So when the tides calmed and I had space and I was like, this is when I need to put myself in my schedule, and have this time to like re-regulate my life. And that was a big part of the shift, was having that, creating that time. But sometimes life doesn't, I don't know if I know what I know now and I went back to the chaos I was in, like you can't even go back there because I might be not be doing some of the stuff I was doing because I know how to cope with it now, but I was under the pressures there and I didn't have the availability to know how to cope. And, so, um, but it is nice to begin to have that space and then add yourself in and,
Mm.
and just get to know yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, adding that
Oh.
totally, totally blocking it out in your calendar. Like
Mhm.
time to do nothing now.
Time
Bath
for
day.
me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And knowing it's good for you. Like I had the bath today and I was like, oh, the little guilty things start creeping in. I'm like, no, this is
Yeah.
my time.
Yeah.
This is the medicine I need, um, I unpack a little bit and be like, is that something that I haven't dealt with? Or, because things when you're in that relaxed state sometimes can come in and say, hey, but yeah, fully embodying like the presence of being with yourself and whatever that looks like, doing a craft or singing a song or having a bath or going for a walk
Mm.
and yeah.
Yeah. It's getting into that flow state, like when you're painting or really,
Mm-hmm.
in your zone of genius or just feeling that, yeah, everything's just unfolding, you know, in a beautiful way around you and you can just be in the moment. Yeah, but like you say, without feeling guilty for just relaxing or reading your book or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the
Yeah.
sun, just enjoying it.
Yeah. And taking those time, and because, next day you're not going to necessarily have the same flow time. It'll be like action flow, action flow, action flow. But today I get to flow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Some days it's just all action.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of the flow, it's kind of go, right?
Mhm.
I think a big part of it is recognizing or trying to be mindful of those opportunities and allowing oneself to embrace that opportunity and just kind of, fall into it, and be embraced by that. I think that has yet been one of the biggest obstacle I face on this course is allowing myself, giving myself the okay to, hey, time for Sophie. I'm going to make sure to pencil this in, right? I've got a calendar in my creative space. I've got my workday calendar. Where am I allowing time for myself, right? And which kind of goes on the topic we're talking about, receiving and allowing, allowing ourselves to be there and allowing ourselves those moments of grace and love and kindness towards ourselves. Um, I think that's something I've struggled with personally too, and I think a lot of women can kind of relate, and just having, being a nurturer and a giver and wanting to take care of everything and everyone around you, and it can be easy to, in a sense, fall in that trap of forgetting, like, it's important to take care of me too,
Mhm.
because you just get caught up in that day to day go. And it happens faster than you know. For me, typically, has been big breaking points of my life where it could be, it's affecting me physically or mentally. I'm feeling like anxious, because there's no flow in that essence where okay, I really need to take a bath. Like I really just need to go ground this out, walk it out, get onto the earth, you know. Um, but a big part of that has been just allowing myself to be there, you know, allowing myself that time to just do nothing, lay there, you know, read a book, light a candle, sing, dance,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm. Put that bubble around yourself, because talking earlier about, as such sentient beings and energetic beings, like I feel like my kids creep in like these little energetic cords, or that's my friend, and I haven't contacted her and she's going through a hard time, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
wait a minute,
gosh.
energy field mine right now. I'm not taking this for granted. I'm so grateful this moment, because there was a time where I didn't have a lot of time.
Mm,
And, but I could feel it. I could feel these, like,
mm,
and so that when you just said that, that really made me think of it, because I try to unpack why it is that all of a sudden, boom, someone drops in my heart, or like, boom, or bam. And I'm like, whoa, I was just pretty blissed out there. Or even just, but I know it's important to think of others,
for sure.
and to be aware of what's coming next. But sometimes I wonder if it is something that is like just having that visualization of like bubble around me for now, allowing this time.
Putting a protection shield up, just be like, no one's going to bother
Mhm.
me for the next hour, or not even bother me, but just like not drop into my field for the next hour.
Yes,
Yeah, totally. Because
totally.
you're not bothering me by it, exactly. If my friend is going through a thing, I want to think about her and care about her, but totally
Yeah.
in this moment, I need to care about me. And so, yeah, like see, like you say, setting that boundary or
Mhm.
to yourself that, yeah, I don't need any reminders in this time. It's like you need to turn your own notifications off somehow. Like you can like,
Yeah.
you can like other notifications.
Ding,
Right.
ding, ding.
Yeah. Or sometimes it'll be like, but wait, the perfect moment to message this person. And so then I will. I'll be like, like it'll feel like a message, of something, or like I'm thinking of you. And then I kind of drop back in. Especially when it's people that are, going through heavy grief or something like that. But I know I'm like,
Yeah, I
I'm
want
gonna crack the seal.
yeah, I like to do things in the moment when they come up as well. But then you train your brain that every time something drops in that you act on it. And so then things just constantly drop in because it's like, oh, well, you've done that now because that's what you usually do. And it's like, well,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I did go through a period of time of like, of saying, oh yeah, I'll do that later and then forget about it. And so then I was like, okay, so they went to the opposite of extreme and was like, if something drops in, I'm going to act on it straight
Oh
away.
yeah.
Do
Oh
it.
yeah.
And they did have a good flow, but then you do get to burnout because if there's periods of
Yeah.
time constantly drop in and you're trying to act on all of those, then yeah, so it's trying to find the happy medium and regulate and yeah, maybe energetically try
Hmm.
to just tell your guides or
Hmm.
your field or wherever your energy or your ideas drop in to like just a drip feed, just like a slow drip feed. It'd be really good, not like a torrent.
And not to feel any like guilt or anything when you don't respond on that need to be a nurturer or something, and just go, this is for me now, and then you're opening yourself up to learning that
Hmm.
receiving again. And yeah, that's a lot of where I'm at too. Like I can have the time I have, but say there's an hour, but maybe there's like, you know half an hour straight of where I'm just with me. Like it's hard to be just with yourself sometimes,
Hmm.
because things come in, right? But, but I'm going to use that bubble trick. That's going to be good.
Yeah, I think the allowing as well
Hmm.
is like, yeah, allowing ourselves to receive our own nurturing and nourishment. And
Mhm.
even when it comes down to like, I worked as a makeup artist for many years and beauty therapist. And so doing your own skincare routine and things like that is like taking that time to be like, this is my time for me that I'm going to spend, looking after myself and allowing
Mm.
ourselves to receive, taking care of ourselves, that bubble bath that you really
Mm.
need to have, or spending time
Mm.
in the garden, getting dirty feet and just being with the earth. So yeah, it's really important. I think,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely one of my codes, cracking the codes of myself. And that's one is time alone.
Yeah, I love it. I haven't really ever had with it. But I don't have children, so it's different, I think, when you've got kids in your field that are coming in to your, that you've brought up and that you've always, had them there to think
Mhm.
about. But yeah,
Yeah.
even as a kid, like I would just be able to entertain myself for hours and not need to have anyone else around me and feel like quite a solitude, mm, yeah, person. I guess in being a Gemini, I've got enough going on in my head for I feel like I'm there with you, maybe.
So
Yeah.
I gotta tell you girls something here because it was really neat today, 'cause talking about these energetic cords, right? And like certain for me, that's how I'm unpacking it with how I feel. Because things come in, it's like the kids are really strong, right? That's like a really strong one. And my dog is really strong. Poppy, she's 5, she's a rat terrier, and I'm her world. Her spirit, I think, leaves her body when I go to work because she goes, "Ugh." It's like her system shuts down. She goes into bed, full sulk mode. And so my mom, she's like, she loves Poppy as well, my mom and dad. And so she goes there and does her healing. She'll come and sit on your chest. Or if my dad starts talking about Trump or something, she goes, nope, and she jumps on us and licks his face. And they always joke about her these healing abilities, like, but we're actually serious. But she's doing her healing. And then listening to these telepathy tapes, right? And just how much more that's come into my awareness.
Mm.
I've already known it, but now that it's really frontal lobe awareness. And so I was standing doing some dishes, and all of a sudden I haven't seen Poppy in 2 days. And I
Mm.
felt, oh, Poppy. Oh, I miss Poppy. Oh, I feel bad. Oh, should I feel bad? No, she's at grandma's house. She's happy there. And then I went to check my phone, and my mom had messaged me just before that saying, I think Poppy misses you. And
Oh,
I went, yeah. And I went, no way, because she'll do this sometimes. And what she do is she'll look at you like
yeah,
she wants to tell you something.
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand. And then I'll be like, do you miss Gammy? So at that same time, so I think it's really fascinating.
Oh, wow.
Like I just saw you have a little pup there too. Hey, Sophia.
I do. She's exactly that for me as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
she is tied to me at the hip. Like, I mean, anytime we're jumping on, literally, our bedroom is on the other side of the house, and there's like a hallway area between there and this room. Like, she can hear from a mile away, and she's just like, "I'm right there with you, Mom. I know you left, Mom. You're not here. Where are you?" You know. So
Yeah.
it is one of those things. I mean, and she's very special to me. So, and that's unconditional love in a sense. So, I allow myself to receive that from her.
Oh,
Um,
I love that.
yeah, yeah, which is totally, it's a special relationship. I've had cats all my life. And so, for me, like when I met my wife, she had a dog, I had a cat, and we've had 4 dogs since. So we have the 2 remaining girls, and I just love her to pieces. So yeah. She's a Chiweenie. We have a little dog house, so we've got Chihuahua mixes. Um, she just turned
Is she
12.
is she mellow? Is she like a mellower? Or is she like keep you going? Oh,
Um, she does keep me on my toes for sure. She is very curious. She wants to get into everything. She wants to see what everything is.
mhm.
She likes to dig and play. She's got her own little planter in her garden where She grows lettuce and carrots, and she does these lettuce runs like during the spring. So she wants to be a part of everything I have going on. If I'm here playing music or painting or whatever I'm doing, she just wants to be a part of it. And I think that's really cool because she's like a little sidekick in that sense because
Yeah.
I'm used to doing a lot of things alone. So
Mm.
it's different in that sense. It's, she's a dog, but she's so much more than that. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it truly is special. But however, if I do have those rare occasions where I'm just gonna allow myself to like sit on the couch and veg out and watch the Twilight Zone or Harry Potter or whatever I'm doing, she's totally cool with just laying
Is she?
down and chilling with me. Like she could sleep with me all night, all day if we have those days. So yeah, she's a cool kid for sure.
Oh, such a cute
Yeah.
action. Pop people sleep with me too. She'll sleep with me like all day, all night. But when she's up, she's up. And it's like I'm trying to teach her to find presents because she's always wants to be to doing the next thing. I'm like, we're in the car and she's already like trying to get out of the car. I'm like, we're 2 blocks away. Just like you've done this drive. She's
Yeah, yeah.
she runs on a high note, that's for sure. But I think that's so important is just surrendering to her love because it's she is but she's a lot, right? Like she's like
Oh
she's
yeah.
got high anxiety, so I feel like if I'm mellow I'm like, hey, join me here in the mellowness, and she's just like I don't know what planet she's on, what she's doing, but kind of just embracing that as part of her loving beingness because that's, she's 5 and she'll probably slow down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the girls we have now are older. We rescue senior dogs, and so they're kind of, I guess maybe in that stage. And she has her routine though. Like I totally respect her routine. Like when we do get up in the morning, she wants to go out and get her suntan. So she's got like a nice lounge out on the patio. So when the sun's out, she totally lays out and gets her sun in. And then she's like,
Mm.
"Okay, mom, you've had your coffee, time for my food." And then so she
Mhm.
kind of has her little routine, which is cool. I learn a lot from her as to
Mm.
watching her enjoying herself just laying out on this huge fucking lounge, and she's a little chihuahua like that, and she's just
Oh.
like, yes, this is my space. And so it's quite interesting. But I get what you're saying with the hyperactive dogs. I spent some time with my aunts like every other weekend, and she's got two big puppies, and they're
Mm.
labs. One's a
Hmm.
lab, and the other's like a lab Weimaraner, and they're very hyperactive, go, go, go. And so I kind of expect that when I go there. It's like, okay, this is when Sophie's
Yeah.
going to get her running shoes on. We're going to go out to the yard. We're going to get it out. And so I take it all in, and I guess it helps me to kind of balance that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but I understand what you're saying, Carly, in the sense I don't have any children, but I feel
Mm.
like I've had big children.
Yeah.
So, I was in a situation growing up where I had to be mom. I
Okay.
felt like I had to be mom. So in the sense of um really kind of stepping into that role. And so that was something that, as I started to do the shadow work and unraveling it in my adolescent years, trying to understand why I felt necessary to be in that role, and how that kind of transpired throughout my life in various different relationships and
Mm.
friendships of being over nurturing or making the sense, how can I say, feeling that I needed to protect everyone and everything all the time, take
Mm.
care of those around me, and I love that aspect of being nurturing. And I think, at my core, that's who I am, and that has why I have struggled in the past a lot with just allowing myself that time for me, which ultimately resulted into like a physical mental breakdown. I was quite young, and things had just kind of built up over time. But I feel like that was, obviously needed for me to really take a look at the mirror, and it's led me here. Um, so I'm a visual person. So I
Me too.
have like a little sign I hang on my door, like, hey, out to lunch, or, the shop is closed right now. So, and one thing that's really helped too, like Nicola was mentioning, is connecting with my spirit guides, my ancestors. I really was led to that. Like, hey, can you help me through this? I've been struggling with this, because these are wise women, these are mentors and wise women that I've met along my journey. Like, please help me at this time. How do I navigate through this? How can I be more in that flow? How can I remain connected to those that I love, friends, family, and those in my circle, and still connect in,
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that's been the journey. And
Mm-hmm.
so allowing myself that for me was like a visual thing, like, hey, the shop's closed, you
Mm-hmm.
know, hey spirit, I really need this time. I've had a fucking stressful day. I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna take a nice bath. I'm gonna turn on some Sade. I'm gonna light my candles. I'm gonna just, bask in it. And it hasn't always been easy. And I still have my moments for sure, but it's connecting, and whatever that is, finding little things along the way as to how I
Mm-hmm.
can connect, how I can get rooted in, um, those little things. And for me, it's just looking outside my kitchen window and seeing my dog laying there on her Chase lounge having some sun. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
That's
Yeah.
Reminders.
that's so good at receiving. Ultimate example of how to receive, aren't they? When they just lay like that and receive your love, receive your pats, receive the sun, and just, they are, yeah, experts at it, and cats as well. Just that receiving energy. Mm. Teachers in that way.
Absolutely.
They are. When
Absolutely.
we talked about that earlier, about Sophia, about that, like asking, our guides, or an intention to, if there's something that we're, trying to get through, or unpack, or whatever it is, and that, spending that time, right? That's part of it. It's like you get to connect because you got something to connect about. Or just
Yes.
nothing, just come into presence, right? Like there's these beautiful availability to so many ways of looking at life, right? But knowing that when you become aware, like, yeah, I gave out way more than I let receive back in. And
Mm,
and you get almost like it's what your system gets used to. It's and
mm,
then going and being able to just, yeah, spend that time or whatever it is on your own, and receive that and be there and know that it is the medicine that you need, truly. And then there's more of you after that too, which is always a nice way to look at it, right? Like, I'm doing this for me, but I'm doing it for more than me at this moment. Like, it's me at the moment, but I
absolutely.
know that there's a layer of it that's makes for a more vibrant me. So then I'm better with my kids and life. And yeah, but it takes a while. There, sure, things can come in, creep in, and and shouldn't you be
For
doing something
sure.
else? Like, and I'm like to that voice, no, I shouldn't be doing something else. You're not the ancestor I want to talk to. The helpful ancestors.
Yes, I do reach out to those warrior ancestors that are like, yes, we got to get some shit done, girl.
Me
I'm
too.
like,
Yeah.
yes, I want the one that's sitting down by the water. I've got my feet in the sand and I'm chill. Um, but yeah, I think, for me, really what it was is allowing myself to connect to that. And I've been sharing in the last two chats we had, and recently, and how a lot of my mentors and wise women that have passed have really been coming
Mhm.
through. And it's like, I have their pictures, I honor them. Why am I denying myself this communication and assistance for those that love me, for those that are waiting, to nurture and help guide me, though they may not physically be here? I have allowed myself to connect. With connecting with them, I connect to myself. In a sense, it's that mirror of, okay, but and then too, that comes to the allowing myself to receive that assistance. At what part am I maybe not wanting to relinquish control, in the sense of, oh, I feel like I need to be doing something, or I need to be doing this, or XYZ. I've got my list I got to go through, whether it's written down or in my head, but just allowing myself to connect into that, to say it's okay to let it go and be in that flow. And there's something,
Mm,
whether it's a switch, like I bought this little,
yeah.
for me it's like a switch. It's like a night light that was like a light switch that I can put on my wall with like command strips, and it's like, okay, I'm switching that off,
Wow. That's a
you
great.
know
That's rad.
I'm
Yeah.
switching that off, and so whether it's a click, or I see it, or I hear it, whatever I feel like I need to do to connect sensory wise in a different
Mm,
way, to just snap out of it.
mhm,
My wife, she wears a rubber band on her wrist, and she's like, when I'm start to get here, I just snap my wrist, and it's just kind of zings me out of it.
Jolts me.
mhm,
Um, so it's really, to taking that shift for me has been really connecting into the feminine energy, which is has been had its challenges all of its own, because a big part of my day is action. I work in a male dominated industry, and so I'm exposed to that go go go, and got to put on this front face of, I'm strong, I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing, because it's just what I'm around all day. And I've been doing it for a little over 20 years. And so it's been one of those things where I've had to really allow myself to connect into that femininity, which is more of the flow opposed to more of the go.
mm,
So that has been interesting all on its own.
mm. How do you connect? Like, do you have a certain practice when you connect in? You said the light switch. I love that. Like, do you put your feet in the ground, or how do you drop into that place of connection?
That's a really good question, Carly. So I tried to be adaptable, or allow myself to adapt to my surroundings, where I'm at. So if I know I'm in my space, like I like to use sound a lot.
Mm,
So bells, I typically will ring a bell, like before a prayer, or just a simple ritual for me is coming in here and ringing my bells, like, hey, I'm here. And it kind of just sets the resonance in the space.
nice.
So it's kind of the beginning of that time I'm allowing myself. So I may ring my bell or drum or some other type of instrument I have here, if I'm in my space.
Mm,
If I'm out in nature, which is the other half of the time, I'm out under a tree somewhere, or hiking, or that is really, it's something that I feel that I need as a, as a part of at least every other day. Otherwise, I start to get like this. It really is just having that connection where maybe I can find a nice tree, just to feel a breeze,
mm,
listen to a bird, something that will connect me to that time and that space.
mm,
Um, you know, I really enjoy water, when I can find it. I live in a desert, so if I do take a weekend where I really feel like I need that water energy, I'll drive up a couple hours north of me to find water.
mhm,
So it's just really what I'm feeling, to listening to my body, like what I need. Like I do I do really need the water energy. And that's been coming in a lot lately. So it's like, yes, I hear ya, I feel ya, you know. So those are things that
Mm.
probably the most accessible, you know, in the sense of I have these little travel packs too. I'd be happy to share. So I create these little like magic on the go boxes.
Cool.
Um, and it's
Nice.
something because I'm like I always just start gathering like I'm a collector of things. So I'm like I've got all this stuff. So I've got to like, you know, whether it's like a little Altoid mint box or if I'm like spending a weekend out, I have a little wood carved box with you know some candles, maybe some cards, some stones, just where I can allow myself that time and that space to connect wherever I'm at, you know, have
Mhm.
a reading or have some tea out in nature. So I kind of take my altar with me.
Mhm.
Um, so then I feel like there's no reason why I can't connect in as to whatever I'm feeling.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so it's just trying to make time and use of the space. I actually was camping this last weekend and we got hit with some rain and it rained pretty much all night. And I said it's going to rain all night. So I'm just going to sleep in my truck. And so it was me and my little doggy. We took
Mhm.
a little camp out and I said, you know what? I've got my paints with me. I've got some canvas because I've really been wanting to do that. And I said, it's raining outside. I'm just going to hang out inside. We had some snacks. I lit a little candle, had the windows open. I could hear the rain, the thunder. It was freaking awesome. And I'm
Yeah.
there painting, you know, and I was just, you know, regardless of the stormy weather, I still was able to find the time to connect, you know. So I think if we keep that openness and keep our eyes and our heart open, there's always something to be found that we can connect to that thing, you know. Even if I have nothing on me, my pack, you know, I'm walking on the dirt and I can hear my boots on the sand, kind of doing that, and the
Mhm.
rustling of the leaves, you know, or touching the tree's bark, or
Yeah.
running my fingers through the leaves. You know,
Mhm.
there's always something to be found, and yeah.
It's being present in the moment, though, right? Like you say, being able
Mhm.
to just embody the change and to be in the back of your truck and do the painting rather than like being caught up in like, well, we
Mhm.
don't get to do what we were going to do. And, you know, there, and I've been
Oh,
in,
fuck yeah.
we've all been there, right? Where when you're
Fuck
younger,
yeah.
like, well, that's not what the plan was. And
Mhm.
you were going to do, and you've got a projection of what you think it would look is going to look like, and then you don't see the opportunities that are there, you know, waiting for you to do something different or take you in a different
Mm.
direction or be more introspective and do the painting and sit there rather than
Mhm.
you thought you were going to do like a moonlit, like, you know, moonlit hike or something that was maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I had planned. Absolutely. It was a full moon. It was a full moon. I'm like, well, fuck that. I go, I can still feel the energy. It was quite beautiful, you know, and the rain did clear up later. And I was like, thank you, Sister Moon. Thank you for your love. Because even though that may not have been my intention, it was like far beyond what I had expected. It was so much more beautiful and
Mhm.
exactly what I needed to connect in, you know. So a lot of that is just allowing ourselves to, like I was talking about, Carly, relinquishing that control or
Yeah,
that
surrender. Just that.
expectation of, you know, what I feel and just allowing it. Um,
Being flexible, right? Though being flexible, like there is that saying, he who can be most flexible will get the most out of life, or it's something like that, because you're not like so like rock solid and like this is what we have to do, and you can't, you've got your blinkers on and you can't see all the other opportunities, you're missing out on so many other things. Whereas if we can be flexible,
mm,
go with the flow and just allow, then all these other opportunities are going to come in, and you know we are our own worst enemy with our perception of what we think we want our life to be because we've got this tunnel vision, and then it can be so much bigger or amazing because we're kind of got our blinkers on and not noticing all those other opportunities. So being flexible to just go with the flow,
Mhm.
get caught up when things don't work out because things working out is probably like things not being how you thought they should be, and just, just rolling with it, when things,
Yeah.
unexpected things happen like that. Yeah. Mm.
The path of least resistance, sort of, especially in that intentional space. Um, Being like, okay, this is coming, yeah, like I love it. Okay, going in the truck, time to paint, and then sometimes you're like, oh, right, there's the paints. And then it all kind of comes together and you're
Oh,
like, I'm gonna
dude.
embrace this. Yeah, that's awesome.
Girl,
I
you
love
have
that.
no idea how long I was carrying that tub of paints and that canvas in my truck, probably for the last year. And I was like, and here we are.
Yeah, that's why I was there the whole
Fucking right on, So,
time. Yeah.
That's cool. And then you get to learn, and
yeah.
I think it's a really good part of the human experience too, is like, well, obviously connecting into your ancestors and your guides and your angels, but just that intentional living part of like, okay, well, what happens when things don't go as unexpected, or there's other unexpected? Like, how do you want to handle that? Are you going to be like, oh no? Are you going to just, surrender in and then be able to do that? And if you can weave little bits of that in the day, um, can be really helpful for again, the nervous system. Those like,
Totally, totally. And
Mm.
those unexpected things come, like you just said. And people say, scan, your nervous system, your body, your mind, your thoughts for like the highest timeline, and some people think that maybe that's like a wanky term now.
Mm.
Like, what is your highest
Mm.
timeline? But what is the timeline that you can see that brings you the most joy and excitement, and following that, rather than like, how am
Mm.
I going to react to this situation? I could get angry and annoyed and frustrated that it's not working out for me.
Oh, for
Or,
sure.
or what has the most joy? I can go into all these other things now instead of, what I thought I could do. So,
Mm.
that's all learning through life, learning from the experiences where we didn't act in that way. And then after we realized that the whole time we were sitting there brooding and getting fucked off because something didn't work out, there was like an amazing opportunity
yeah,
there. Like, I spent that whole time
Yeah.
just raging, and there was a beautiful
Yeah.
crystal shop just around the corner. If I had just gone for a walk, I would have found a
yeah,
magical bookshop instead of sitting there getting, pissed off that something didn't work out. So it's like, how can I
yeah,
just
Oh,
flow
for sure.
happening and not have, but that's the having the resistance to things, right? It's like we have a resistance to things, and that's the control. Like, if things are happening that's
Mm.
not part of like the plan, then it's the control is gone. And then, part of, being so rigid in ourselves and is wanting to have that control over everything, right? And know and have a plan. But again, I think that just comes with life
yeah.
experience, right? Life experience. I don't know if that's something that you just naturally are. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it definitely comes with experiences. Like, I mean, I just I came to a point where it's like I don't like the way I feel in those instances where I feel like things have to be so cut and dry, where there is no allowance for flow. Like, where am I closing that door, right? So it's like kind of, we talked about that water flowing earlier. If you build a dam and you're putting a stop to the flow of the universe, to the flow of creativity, then, why am I doing that?
Yeah. And then you get that stagnancy, right? If you're gonna put it
Sure,
in, and then that water is gonna get stagnant, and then
sure.
you're not gonna have that natural flow of your life. You're stagnating
Mm.
yourself because you're like creating your own roadblocks, for sure, for sure. But that's all programming, and that's all trauma based, right? And fear
Oh
based,
my gosh. Yeah.
holding myself back, holding ourselves back because of, certain things that have happened, because there's a fear of going beyond that, because the control is that, well, I don't know what will happen beyond that, because the other time I went and did that thing, maybe catastrophe happened because it wasn't actually
Sure.
flow. Maybe there was trying to force an outcome, and, it was learning what
Mhm.
feels like versus what forcing an outcome and actually allowing feels like, because, you know, we're not brought
Mm.
up to understand all of those nuances of emotions. It's like there's fear, there's
Mhm.
anger, is happy. That's it. It's like, well, no, you know, there's so much more to that, and it's like understanding how you feel in those moments versus, you know, so you can really discern where you're flowing with your energies that you're putting out. Yeah. Mm.
And then you get like the reverse catastrophe, like Sophia, when you know that when you surrender and then you're like, there's your paints, and it's like, boom, you know, then you get this feeling of alignment, and you're just like,
Mm.
that's like, okay, and then you can just feel like it's just a big, you know, high five from the universe,
Mm.
feeling like, yeah, it's so cool
Mm.
what can happen when you just begin to allow.
Yeah, totally. And then for you, Sophia, with those paints being there, you can be like, fuck yeah, my past self knew that I would need those paints there for me.
Fucking right on, right? Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
fuck yeah, thank you, past Sophia. You popped them there and you knew I was,
totally.
yeah. So it's like making sure that we like, you know, say that to our past self and be like, yeah.
Celebrate. Yeah, yeah, totally.
Dude, not only that, I found the softest, coziest fleece socks, a comfy, soft ass fucking blanket to bundle. I was like, dude, I'm fucking set right here. I got the pad going on. It's awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I,
Yeah.
I should pop off though, ladies, because it's almost 1:30 a.m. But it was so great to see you, Sophia.
Likewise. Come back and
Yeah.
visit, Carly. We would love to have you here at Witchy Talk.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. Like I said, I was just like, woo, let's go chat it up because you know, there's only certain
Absolutely.
spaces where you can just flow it out, right? And there's more spaces
Absolutely.
now, but totally appreciate you guys so much too
I'll
for
share this with you if you can
ooh,
see this. So, bringing in the water energy.
It does.
So, we've been doing our tarot talks, and I have somehow misplaced or replaced my cards, and I found a basket full of about 5 decks,
Oh,
all
wow.
mixed up.
Yeah.
And the ones that I pulled off, and I'll share some more with you, but this is a dance with water.
Wow.
oh, beautiful.
The water is close for you, Carly.
I know it's right on the cliff there.
Yes,
Yeah,
girlfriend.
beautiful water energy. It's so big, it's so vast, so powerful, but yet so calm, like
And
all of it.
spring. And spring, we are celebrating Ostra. So transformation, spring, renewal, birth.
Yeah. Is that tomorrow?
So,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
It is. Ooh, awesome. Bring it.
Yes.
Okay,
So
I'll
what
let you
are we
guys go.
watering?
Thank you so
Yes, much
Yeah.
love.
Okay,
much.
much love, ladies.
Okay, bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. Oh, amazing. Yeah, we're talking
Yes.
right on the equinox, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spring equinox, girl.
Winter here. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so like yeah, so I found this basket full of cards because I had started to pull out the cards as we're going through the tarot talks.
Mm.
And
Oh.
I'm like, where did I place these decks? I couldn't find them because I had like a few set aside.
Mm.
So then I find this basket of like 5 different decks that are just beautiful that I've had throughout the seasons, just like doing random pulls or whatnot. And I'm like, this like had me in tears. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, universe, I'm feeling the love. So, yeah, dance with water.
That's amazing. Beautiful card. I love it.
And then I had this one, and this is out of the Solitaire Witch deck,
Mm.
Ancestors and Apples.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So beautiful. The artwork's incredible. I love the design down the side.
I really love that. And then this one here, her knowledge runs deep.
Oh, wow. Mm. She's holding a book. Yeah, I can see it. It's gone into focus. Yeah, that's amazing. Beautiful. So you pulled them tonight? Yeah.
Yeah. So a
Yeah.
lot of these were like faced up, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So these various decks, I'm like, okay, as I'm flipping through them, I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna set these out. And there's some that go quite deep, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to spend some time with this. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, wow, wow. This one here is very, very earth, springy energies, the
Oh,
illuminated path.
yeah, the wolf is gorgeous. Wow, that's amazing. Is she leaning on a stone or something? An obelisk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the illuminated path, so it's like light is radiating from her.
Oh, from her hand. Yeah, I can see that. Cool. Mm-mm-mm.
So I was like, I am just, allowing,
Yeah.
receiving
Yeah. Yeah.
angelic assistance.
Yeah, she's got a Mother Teresa style headdress on, doesn't she, as well? Mm-mm. Wow. Beautiful.
This is what came through tonight. So I guess since I'm sharing them, this is what I've been carrying in my basket that has come to face
Yeah.
as we spring forward.
Splendid with grace. Beautiful. And that's that receiving. Look at that. Look at that pose. Look at
Not
that.
beautiful.
Yeah. Really amazing. Mm, beautiful.
Yeah, so just allowing myself to connect in.
Mm-mm. Cosmic Heart. What's that deck? Yeah, they're quite abstract, aren't they? Those.
Yeah, this is a roomy deck.
Oh wow.
And I have the box, and what is so strange, like I'm saying, literally, these were all stacked in a basket, mixed up. I was like, I don't know what I was doing with them, like just doing some spring cleaning. I was like, hey, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been cool.
Yeah.
I've been
Amazing.
just kind of doing healing, looking for the pot of gold, the rainbows, a picture from the Grand Canyon, where I was actually able to catch it during the rain.
Oh, you took that photograph.
I purchased this there.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, so talking about allowing, right? So I was there during our monsoon rainy season,
Mm.
and I'm like, I would so love it while I'm here to catch a rainbow over the Grand Canyon. So I had visited like probably 3 or 4 times already during the summer,
Mm.
and spent my birthday, and I was like, I just want to enjoy this space. I can't get enough.
Mm.
And so this was a course of several weekends. I had drove up there about 5 hours from me. And I was like, man, I had this in my mind, right? And so the last day I was there, I decided I'm actually going to do this tour. They have this bus that goes through the park.
Mm.
And I said, I'm going to do it. I think I can get like a nice little sunset hike in. I've got about an hour before the bus, they start stopping their runs.
Mm.
And so it was like, okay, guys, got to get off, whether you're going to catch a trail, whatever, this is the last stop.
Mm.
So I get off. It's this bright angel trailhead, right? And I'm like, oh shit, it starts fucking raining. Rain is coming down. It's coming down harder. And I'm like, oh shit,
Mm.
had the rain jacket, left that back at camp. Oh well, I'm going to play in the rain. And so I'm like, like running across the lot, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to find a little bit of cover. And I'm like, nope, it's not gonna fucking stop raining. I'm on an open element, just gotta enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Where to go with it?
you wanted the rainbow, Sophie, with that, you get the rain. So here I am. And this was probably about a mile jog I'm taking at this point. And I'm like, just going with it.
Mm.
Thunder, lightning. And this is, over the Grand Canyon. I'm like, this is fucking like spot on. So I I reached this like at this point I'm fucking drenched. I'm just like, dude, you just gotta roll with it, man. Kind of one of those things where I have all the stuff, I'm prepared. I usually have my rain jacket bundled up. There's like a little
Mm.
actual pocket for it on my pack. And
Mm.
I didn't have it in there. For some reason I took it off, maybe so I can totally be fucking drenched in the rain. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, fucking roll with it. So just roll with it. So I stop, and there's this like kind of meeting area where they have this resort there you can stay at, and a restaurant. And these people have stopped and they're looking, and there it is, a rainbow, a rainbow, a rainbow. There was like multiple
Oh,
rainbows
oh.
just stacked. And I'm like, oh, fuck, here's that rainbow I have been wanting and wishing and hoping to see. So I go to grab my phone to take, my phone is fucking dead. And I was like, you know, this is like that picture perfect moment I've been waiting for. And it was just like, so you wanted a rainbow. Why don't you take a moment to just sit back and enjoy it?
Yeah. And actually,
You
yes.
like literally, I was forced. I couldn't take the fucking picture. My phone was dead. I was like, you know what? Okay, universe. I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is what so I stopped at a visitor center and I was like, man, so they had these, it's a huge like postcard.
Yeah.
And when I was like, dude, I went to like purchase this, and the guy's like, I've never seen those before. Like, where did you get this from? I'm like, it's been right there on that shelf. And I was like, I've got to take this home.
Yeah.
Right. So so this is my photo of some of what I captured really in here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And
Oh, wow.
it was one of those moments of allowing, you know, and realizing that in those moments, like say I caught that picture, you know, just allowing myself to be in that moment, in that time, in the space. You know, what am I holding myself back from allowing,
Yeah.
you know, myself to enjoy, myself to embrace?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. And there was yeah, some bands that came recently. And last year I went to Hailung and we were seated. And I had, right at the beginning of their performance, dropped my phone down behind the seat in front of me. And I could have asked them to get it and interrupted, during the
Oh
performance.
yeah.
But I was just like, I'm just going to leave my phone down there for the whole performance, and just left it there for the whole time. And as they got up at the end and asked for, for it back, and they're like, "Oh, you could have asked, during the concert. It's fine." And I was like, I think I just needed to sit there and actually just enjoy it and take it all in and immerse, yeah, myself in it, rather than like constantly taking photos and filming and having my phone there. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
it was a chance to just be with it and be in the moment, and just allowing the situation just to be, yeah, what it
Mm.
was in that moment without needing to capture it on a tiny screen. Yeah, allowing.
You think it's because like we're so connected to our devices, or maybe like wanting to share those moments? Like for me, like I do a lot of solo trips, you know, like my wife is very much a homebody and she's like, I am in my happy place here. Please, Sophie, go and enjoy yourself. Go on that hike, go camp, you know, go to that show, go do you. And it works for us, you know. But in this sense too, it's like wanting to share those beautiful moments,
Mm,
right? Or like this was fucking magical. You should
yeah.
have been there.
Yeah, to share it, but also to remember it for yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I like to have like an archive of my life, and maybe, reminisce on those photographs, when you're older at some point. Yeah, so
For sure.
yeah, I think it's, yeah, capturing part of it as a memory. But I think that can be part of like actually taking away from our real memories. Is like you think
Mm.
you've captured it on the camera, so you're not paying as much attention to what's around you, because you've caught it there. Like the people who film the concert and watch it through their phone, rather than just filming it and actually watching the concert. It's like, well,
Oh
you're
yeah.
actually just watching it through your screen. So, and
Oh
it's,
yeah.
I mean, and that might be for a moment, and then they put your phone down and you immerse yourself in it again, but it's like, yeah, yeah, there's like, it's like an extension of ourselves now, right? And maybe
Mm.
relying quite heavily on it being being our memory banks and our database for our memories now, rather than actually, yeah, remembering things.
I've certainly caught myself doing that, now when I'm at shows, I'm like, because if it's a badass song or, like a one I really enjoy from that group, or maybe like a group, like I've got a lot of like Italian death metal bands or Finnish or Norwegian that I'm not going to see maybe for another 10 years. And
Mm,
then it's like, I'm definitely going to fucking capture this, and those are those moments where
mm,
I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I don't have reception, then I can play a song on my phone and just be there, you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And I've caught myself as like, okay, I'm gonna record this clip and then I'm putting my phone in my back pocket. I wear these pants now. It has a fucking zipper on it. And I'm like, I've caught the portions of my song and now I'm gonna fucking dance, you
Yeah,
know?
and put it down.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. Mm,
yeah. And
mm,
I think too, like what I noticed, so I was actually out at a show last night, is it's like this psychedelic band I'm really into, called Death Chant, and they're here on the West Coast. They're fucking awesome. And so I'm like jamming, I'm dancing, and I'm just in a trance, dude. I'm fucking high on the music, right? And so there's this young girl, her boyfriend had took her to the show, and she's just like, oh my gosh, she came up to me and she's like, I fucking love you. She's
yeah.
like, you're so, she was so like just inspired, I guess, by watching me dance and be in it, where she's just like, I fucking love you. Like, that is beautiful.
Mm,
And
mm,
she was like, oh my gosh. She's like, this is my first metal show. Like, I'm just having a blast. And like, it just was like, it was just that like cherry on the top of the cake, right? I was just like, oh my gosh, like realizing that when we're allowing ourselves to be in those moments
mm.
and just enjoy it and flow with it, that it has that ripple effect. And so others, can be more vulnerable and more inclined to be in it. So she's like fucking dancing and smiling, and she's just like, yeah, I'm okay. I can do this too, I was like, fuck yeah, girl, let's go, So it's I think too, by allowing ourselves to be more vulnerable, then the hope is that we can encourage others to be more vulnerable and in that flow as well.
Mm, mm, mm. Oh, 100%. And you give permission to other people to, she gave
Absolutely.
permission to just get into it. And that's amazing that she encountered you on her first metal experience to, rather than,
Oh, dude.
yeah, rather than some other
I
like
was like,
or anything. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I
And then
was like, but too, and it's like holding that mirror too, because I may not have realized it. I was just so in a fucking trance. I was into it, and I was like, oh, well, thank you for bringing that to my attention. And so, like, we connected, and she was just like, please, expose me to the music. Tell me you're into. She's like, oh man, you're so. I get like this whole like little sister vibe, and I'm just like, that is so fucking cool, dude.
oh,
Like,
wow.
oh. I feel like I've graduated to like the big sister, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Cool, cool.
So,
Yeah. There is like this giving ourselves permission to enjoy the moment. Um, and having the courage, I think, as well. Like courage has come up a lot for me recently. Um,
my gosh, yes, girl, me too. Literally, the
just
word
in,
courage.
just in the last week. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Wow.
yes, right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, oh my God, like I have some prayers and things noted specifically on courage. That is a word that has been coming through. So,
Oh, yes. The last few days for me. That's amazing. And
fuck yeah.
yeah, right on, totally. And it's because, we find ourselves so easily um swaying away from, what we truly want to do,
Mm,
because of
mm,
our own doubts and others' perceptions.
mm,
And I think just to have the courage to follow through with how you truly want to create your life, but also the courage to just actually be present in the moment and enjoy
mm.
the moment and not letting other bullshit that can be part of life just take away from being in the present moment, not letting all of
Yeah.
the ruminating thoughts or regrets Not letting regrets, take you away from the present moment. So I think having the courage to just be happy, to be a happy person.
Mm,
not,
mm, mm.
and that's not to say that we're just stuffing things down, like doing the shadow work, going through those hard things, but not dwelling in it, not to dwell in the suffering, to move through it and then have the courage to be happy, you know,
Mm.
I think is,
Yeah.
mm,
Do you feel that that is a choice?
yeah, I
So,
do. Mm. I,
regard like I guess my question is like even if in that moment you feel it's a choice, like I choose happy, like regardless of what's going on around me. And right now there's a shitload of fucking chaos going around here, you know, in the world. But regardless, I choose to be happy of any external bullshit or situations or outside influences that may be trying to infiltrate the system in here.
yeah.
I choose happy, right? Like,
And it's not that toxic positivity where it's like I'm not
oh yeah.
acknowledging the things that are happening. Like it's like going through the dark night of the soul and going through the grief and the suffering and the regret and shame and all those aspects, but coming out the other side and being like, well, what is it all for if I can't be happy and enjoy the moment and have
Mm.
the courage just to enjoy life? What's it all for, really? If you can't be in that, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you've brought this up, and it's kind of like what Carly was saying earlier, how what do you do in those situations? Like, hey, I'm here, it's fucking raining, or hey, I'm caught in a storm, or you know, um, I've had situations where that's what I'm saying. Do you think it's a choice? So I had a situation where we were on this like little mini vacay. We took a drive up to Sedona, and I had some friends with me who were like, "Oh man," and they started griping and groaning, "Oh, we can't do this, we can't do that." I'm like, "Fuck off. I'm going for a walk." And literally it was one of those things. I found this magical place after many, many times of visiting where it was that crystal shop around the corner and a fucking cool little tea shop. And I'm like, dude, this is my jam. You could be stuck there, but I'm gonna sit right here.
Mm,
So
mm,
you decide, like, and it was one of those things where it's like, wow, like I don't know, where like I just recognize maybe those situations now because I'm not there. It's kind of like I choose not to be there. Like I'm gonna be sitting over here having a cup of fucking magical tea in this fucking crystal shop in Sedona, Arizona, enjoying the scenery.
yeah,
And I'm sorry if you this is where I'll be. I'm gonna sit
yeah,
my happy ass right here.
totally.
Um, so in what instance, is that a choice like in that moment, or do we feel like is there something because I've been that like kind of like the misery loves company, right? Type deal.
Mm, mm, mm.
Like the moment you decide to not be in that party anymore, it's like fuck, fuck Sophie. The moment you're not entertaining that shit anymore, right? It's like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I choose to be happy. I'm gonna enjoy myself while I'm
Mm.
here.
Yeah.
What was it all about? I fucking drove through traffic. I hit three different freeways. What is this journey of life all about?
Yeah.
It's taken me everything to get here.
Mm, mm,
I'm
mm.
not gonna be in a poopy party. Like I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. I think there are some instances where the choice is a lot more difficult to make, but I think it's always a choice, and if you are triggered or like, your nervous system is dysregulated or you are, in a panic, you're having a panic attack, like, there's those
Mm,
instances where all of those kind of primal instincts are taking over and it's a lot harder to make a choice in that moment. But I think the
mm,
choice can still be there. Um, but yeah, I
mm.
think there are instances where it's clearer and it's easier. But again, like Carly and I were mentioning earlier, and I think we've talked about it as well. When you join the call, it's learning from experience. It
Sure.
really is recognizing after the fact. It's like, oh, I had that panic attack and all that happened. And then you leave and then you see the crystal shop and the cool shops and they're all closed now, and if you had removed yourself from that situation, it'd be like, well, clearly.
Oh, damn. Missed that opportunity.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
try again, right?
So it's
Mm.
like, it's noticing the tipping point. The tipping point for you if you are in that state where it's like, I'm gonna have a panic, or I'm having a panic attack, or it's coming, or this is anxiety inducing, or I've just been triggered. It's like, what is the tipping point to like removing yourself from that and choosing a different timeline of stepping away from
Mm.
whatever it is, or
Mm.
recognizing that you need to reach out and ask for help or self-soothe or just go and lie on the earth even if it's raining or whatever.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's that question, that's a really good one. What is that tipping point? And, obviously it's different for everyone.
Yeah, it's your
We may have similar, yeah.
own. Totally. Mm.
But I know my tipping point was I was at the point where it was so uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I was crawling out of my skin uncomfortable,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, re regardless if it was for me, like trying to please everybody in the sense, making sure everyone's taken care of. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I There's all this hypersensitivity, and I got to be mindful of how I say things or how I do things because I don't want to hurt anyone. And in the meantime, I'm not utilizing my voice. I'm not speaking up for myself, right? I am not being true to myself in this instance where it's so fucking uncomfortable, where
Yeah.
it's like, I can't do this anymore, man. Like literally crawling out of my fucking skin.
Yeah.
Um, that's what it was for me. And it wasn't just one instance. It was the same situations over and over in different spaces and different places where I was like, how many times do I have to keep seeing this before I'm so fucking uncomfortable with it?
Yeah.
You
Notice
know.
that in. Yeah, and the uncomfortability, totally. And where you
Mm.
don't feel like yourself or you can't actually be yourself. You're, masking or putting on a persona, or you're acting, or you're being something other than yourself. Yeah. And that's that uncomfortability, right? Yeah. Then you know that it's time to change your pivot. It's time to pivot.
For sure. I love that word pivot, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning earlier is being flexible,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, in a sense, finding that balance. I've been doing work with insects, really big into insects.
Mm.
And one thing I've recently discovered is when studying their wings, right? So I'm putting together some little like shadow boxes and stuff with a collection of insects I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
gifted from the earth. And
Yeah.
so if I find them in the yard and they've died out or dried out, and I can, piece them together in an instant.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing I find is their wings. So
Mm.
the wings of an insect is it's made from cuticle.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really strong,
Yeah.
but it's also very flexible.
Cuticle. I did not know that.
Cuticle. Yeah. So they can still be strong enough to fly, but they're also very flexible. And when an insect loses its wings, it doesn't grow back. It learns to adapt and adjust without that wing.
Wow. Even if
Yeah.
it only has two wings, if it loses a, it can still adapt. Really? Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's an amazing feat.
I just taking those instances, nature speaks to you. Nature speaks to me. I believe it'll speak to you in a language you can understand, whether it's an insect, a blade of grass, the rain, the thunder, a dying plant, something that needs to be uprooted. There are signs and voices in nature reaching out and speaking and wanting to connect all the time,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-mm.
But it's the view. You were talking about the view, right? So I had spoke previously of a camera I was gifted, and I was going through some of those memories that I captured through the lens of my phone, and thinking, wow, I've I've gone through this, and so there are some that might be more square or up and down or horizontal, but in between that shuffle, I have a few panoramic views. So just recognizing, one single shot that I may be focused on this flower or this mountain peak here, and then taking the whole wide view.
Yeah, wow.
It's like, wow,
So good.
there's so much more, there's so much more depth in those layers. Like, wow, when you see that big picture.
And
And
your peripheral, right? Your peripheral vision, like to be able to have that perception. There's so much that happens in those spaces. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
yeah, it's like you brought in that scope, right? The lens of scope, and what I am allowing myself to see, and what I'm allowing myself to perceive and be receptive to see, you
Mm-hmm.
know? If I'm if I'm that tunnel vision because this is how I'm used to experiencing things or how I want to see things, what am I not allowing myself to see or experience?
Yeah.
I think things are so much wider and brighter and beautiful in the expanse, you know?
Survey.
Um,
Yeah, totally. And that's an awareness of, of everything that is happening around us. And, as we um, can have more perception of the different things that are happening around us. We take in so much information, but we're not going to miss as much. That tunnel vision is gone, like you say. So there's so many more opportunities that we can see if we're open to see everything that we can see and allow. And it's like, okay, and then
yeah,
your intuition will tap into that as well. It's like, I feel like, we need to go over here. Just turn to 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock and we got to go that way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Follow it and see. Yeah. Follow those
yeah.
breadcrumbs, those ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a tunnel I have to drive through when I go back home. And so there's a period of the road where it's like I have to drive maybe a mile through a tunnel. And in that moment, in that tunnel vision, it's kind of, I know that I'm going to see maybe a line dividing the two lanes,
Mm.
and basically concrete and rock. And
Mm.
that's my view.
Wow.
But I'm going to tell you, as I'm driving through that tunnel, I cannot wait to get through to the other side
Yes.
because I know that the road's going to widen and I'm going to get these fucking beautiful mountains and trees and canyons around me. And I'm like, yes, I just got to get through it. I just got to get through it, you know?
I love that
And
analogy. That's great.
yeah, and I mean, it's like I'm driving my car and I'm like literally going through the tunnel vision. And it's like just knowing and trusting that once I get through this, it's going to widen up.
Yeah.
And
Driving through a tunnel. Totally. And you can't wait to get to the other side. Yeah.
no, yeah.
Sucks to be in the tunnel.
Fuck yeah, dude. I mean, you got a little bit of echo, it's like,
Yeah, it's kind of
hey,
cool, but it's kind of boring.
tired of seeing the same shit, right? What's around the bend? But yeah, it's like the same thing when I travel, and I do a lot of these solo trips, and you know, um, and there's a joy that I find in that. I think too, because um I just want to allow the road to take me where it's going to go. That journey, that time that I allow myself, whether it's driving up to the Grand Canyon, driving up to Sedona, driving an hour to get home.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, I've marked it on my map.
Mm.
Hey, honey, this is my ETA. This is where I'm going. I'll be there in a few hours. Okay, I know how I'm getting there, but what am I going to find along the way? And once I get there, it's like, okay, we're turning it off. Now it's time to tune in,
Yeah.
right? And just be there.
Mm.
It's, and then I don't feel that pressure, I guess, in the sense of oh, I need to stop here. I need to do this. I want to check this out. I'm like, I'm rolling with it,
Yeah.
man. I saw this raven. I followed this raven. It led me to this fucking tree. I sat on the cliff. I watched the sunset. I mean, dude,
Yeah.
it's just going with it.
Mm-mm.
And I really enjoy that. I really do. And those are the things that keep me going and keep me growing. Even though maybe I don't feel like I always allow myself to do that. Maybe I do more than what I know.
Yeah. Well, because it's more natural. It's natural for you. So
Yeah.
like noticing it after the fact rather than being like, oh yeah, I should be in the moment, and then, you know, consciously thinking about it rather than like actually just be in the action, the forward momentum of doing it and then having things
Yeah.
unfold. Yeah, and that.
Yeah. But you got to take the first step. I got to gas up the car and then I got to get in the car
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
then and allow myself to go there, you
Yeah,
know?
totally. There's a
So
plan
in that
as
instance, there
well.
is that choice, right?
Yeah, there's the plan as well. But when you get there, yeah, totally. Mm, allowing that flow and to take a different route you know, if there is the opportunity to, you know, just flow with
For
it.
sure.
Mm.
That's the best. That's the best. Some of the most memorable trips have been like, oh shit, there's a traffic jam, or oh shit, the road's closed. Guess you got to take this scenic route.
Yeah.
I'm like, had I not taken that scenic route or been redirected, in other words, beauty. I had that experience actually my last time up north. It's a beautiful place I like to visit in Page, Arizona. I have to send you some pictures. It's gorgeous. And so I already had this expectation of, yeah, I'm gonna hit Flagstaff and then drive another couple hours. And they're like road closure. We had a wildfire. And so the main highway was closed and there was no way getting through it. It was like, I can fight it. Like, I know every exit to get back on this freeway. So I can go back 2 miles and turn here. And they're like, nope, closed. Nope, road closure. I was like, I'm stopping. I'm just going to stop fighting this. And I had a whole group with me. And I was like, sorry, folks, we have no choice.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, I'm up for the scenic route, but hey, guys, it's going to be a little bit longer. But man, we drove through this reservation with these beautiful mesas and just valleys that opened up and fields
Wow.
and wildflowers. And I'm like, had we not been redirected,
Yeah.
yeah, I never would have known that place was there.
Yeah,
But, you
exactly.
know,
Now you know that that route is there, and yeah, yeah, exactly. Broadens your horizons and your perception of, everything around you. It just really does. Yeah. Yeah.
and what can we do to allow ourselves to take that route? You know, if I know the way in and out and I know how to quickly get there, what can I do to allow myself to take that side road or to take that scenic route? Um, why am I not allowing myself to take that time to enjoy the scenic route?
There's
Um,
so much rushing, right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not much of a rusher. So I was like, dude, I'll
Mm.
see y'all in a few hours. I'm taking this road. There's butterflies, there's birds, there's bees. I'm happy there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, but it's the receiving aspect. And I've been reflecting a lot on this lately. We talk about the word of courage, right? So some of the things that I've been working on and working through recently, and it's just like, okay, I see how this is come forth now.
mm.
Um, I have to share some of those prayers and words with you later. It's quite interesting. This is coming up for you too, but not surprising.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so it's good stuff, and I think it does take courage to really get to the root of things and face it. The allowing and the receiving, right? So these are words we reflected on during the new year. We had talked about receiving, allowing, along with growth and expansion as we move forward into the new year. And
Yeah.
so this is why I was really wanting to take the time to reflect on this. And I really thrilled that we've been led here because it's, connecting in further is what I've felt is connecting in, you
Mm,
know, reconnecting, plugging into myself, plugging into that true self, outside of the bullshit.
mm,
Um, which does take courage to do.
mm,
It's I wear many hats. I've got my witchy hat, I've got my sombrero, I've got my painter's hat, I've got my hiking hat, I've got my gypsy hat. I've got all these hats I can juggle, but
mm,
truly at the core, it's me.
mm,
You know, I may wear these many things, but getting to the core of me and connecting with that. So regardless of what I'm wearing today,
mm.
I'm still true to myself at my core.
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned as to what is presented to others or how they, perceive me. What's most important is that I allow myself to perceive and see what I want to see,
Mm, mm, mm,
and that takes courage. Because a lot of that, like you had mentioned, going through the deeper, darker shadow aspects of it is not always easy.
no.
Um,
Oh, that takes
yeah,
that takes
fuck
courage,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it's definitely not for the faint-hearted to do all of the, yeah, to look at yourself truly and do all of that internal reflection and yeah, and work and perspective and understanding situations and why things unfolded and why why we act the way we act or why I've done the way that things that I've chosen to do and why that all takes a lot of courage to look inwards, to yeah to self reflect, to workshop ourselves,
Mhm.
to be vulnerable in that and honest about where we fucked up. Dude, I fucked
Oh,
up.
that's the easy part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. And then the courage to just fuck it all and just enjoy life as well. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like you were talking about, like why I go through all this shit to not enjoy it,
Mm,
like fucking, trials and effort and walking through the fire and, fucking getting burned and, being rebirthed and going through transformation and layers and shedding and all of it,
mm,
all of it is beautiful for what it is. And um it's not easy, like you said, it's not easy to face a lot of that stuff. I mean, for me, like I can say about being in the flow and just allowing myself to be in that situation, like, oh, it's raining, or oh shit, I got a flat tire, or oh shit, I'm taking a side road. Like it has been years
mm.
and years of those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. To learn to
I
just
just
trust it.
just fucking roll with it,
Yeah.
dude. Like, and then when you feel that, like, oh,
Mm,
okay,
mm,
and trusting it,
mm.
now it's like doing it with a smile. I trust it, like this is what it's meant to be. I'm not going to force it. Like if I feel that things feel forced, then it's not in the flow,
Yeah.
you
That,
know, when I can let it go so it can flow, right? And getting out of the mind and relinquishing that aspect of control and allowing myself to just be there in that moment, you know and and trust that things are aligned for my greatest good in that highest timeline.
yeah.
you
Exactly.
know it has taken all of those experiences to fucking get me here.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so why not enjoy it?
So just
um
yeah, exactly. Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, and and for every person, like what that breaking point is can be different. Um, for me, it was a lot of big things, and it was an accumulation of a lot of little things along the way to, from having moments high on the mountain to being in very, very low places and dealing with anxiety and dealing with depression and combating that over years of practice of reconnecting and facing that and doing the hard work,
Mm.
you know.
Oh,
um
yeah.
yeah, I
Mm.
mean that's real shit.
The peaks and the valleys. It is the roller coaster, and it is the highs and the lows, and traversing it all, and knowing that when I'm in the valleys, it doesn't it's not going to last forever. But then when you're at, when you're at the feeling good, and you're at that peak, and you've got the view, and you're appreciating the view, and you're in the moment, it's like, yeah, being present in it, so you don't miss it before maybe something else comes along that is there to look at. But the idea is that you don't spend as long in the valley. Once I've learned how to look at myself, it's like you don't spend as long there anymore, because you understand the way out, and what you need to look at, maybe what demon you need to slay, or what battle needs to
Fuck
happen,
yeah. Fuck yeah.
or who you might need
Fuck
to
yeah.
employ Kali Ma, or you employ Sekhmet, or you work with someone, or you and you go there with that intention to remove something, and or transmute something, or assimilate it back into you. Sometimes for me, there's things that we separate outside of ourselves, um,
Mm.
because we don't want to identify with that part of ourselves, but we actually need to forgive and assimilate. Well, for me, different parts of myself back into myself. So then
Oh my gosh.
so you can feel whole.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's the
And
thing.
that is that reconnecting, dude. Like, that is where I've been. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm connecting to this badass bitch I knew. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
before that shit happened, like, there
Mm,
was something there that I really loved,
mm,
Like, oh my gosh, that so resonates.
mm,
That so resonates. Like, it's like the strands, right? So, speaking of,
mm,
so we're talking about the receiving and the allowing, and I'm going through my cards,
mm.
and I was basically getting to the root of things, and
Wow, look at that
this,
card.
yeah, this came through
Oh my God,
DNA,
amazing. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that
and
is
I
red.
was reflecting on this.
Yes, Aboriginal as well. Looks like it, or is it more native? Yeah, beautiful. Cool.
Yeah, so that's the back of the card.
Wow, it's so beautiful. Cool.
So I've been reflecting a lot on the
Yeah.
snakes, transformation, rebirth,
Mm, mm,
growth,
yeah.
um, but too, like, when you talk about like reassimilating, right? And like for me, like plugging back into those aspects, like the badass warrior, fucking rebel, the woman that used her voice, the woman that stood up for herself, the
Mm,
woman who recognized the beauty within myself and the wealth that I have to offer in this space and this time before, those things that shut the voice, right? And where was I active in those aspects, and not allowing myself to vocalize and be present with me in that moment, in this time, in this space. And, a lot of that over the years and going through this deep dive for self knowledge and trying to understand. Um, when we talk about receiving and allowing, it was something that was very deep for me from when I was a child. I had a few traumatic instances happen very early on, um, which put me in a state of building that wall. We talked about building that dam and stopping the flow. As a child, I don't think you really understand a lot of those things. So it's kind of like a turtle going back into the shell, right?
Yeah.
You have that hard shell, you're startled, and then you retract in
Yeah, right. I feel that.
because I've got this safe space to hide in, right?
Mm,
I don't know what's poking at me. I don't know what's out there. Oh
mm,
shit, I've got this hard barrier around me to protect myself. And so, whether doing it consciously by choice or instinctively, like feeling it, right? And going through periods of time and as things transpire through my younger years, realizing why I had a hard time allowing myself to receive because of those instances I had where I had moments or experiences that were bad, traumatic, caused a sense of fear or unsteadiness or mistrust. And so I felt in an instance I had to shield myself,
yeah.
which in turn shielded myself from receiving,
Yeah, from everything, eh? Yeah.
from everything. And and at that young of an age, we talk about the chakras, right? So you're at your baseline root chakra.
Mm, yeah.
So I'm on this journey of self-love and self-healing, and big one, forgiveness. A lot of the experiences, a lot of the choices I made all went back to the root.
Mm,
Before I could get to my heart, I had to get to the fucking root of shit
yeah.
and realize what had affected me there.
Mm, yeah.
So now I'm on top of the mountain, so where I can look down.
Mm,
I can look down from the crown and I can see, oh,
mm,
okay, now we got to go there.
yeah.
And it's not easy, for me. And this was years of deep dives and a book this thick,
Yeah.
you know, turning the pages and going deeper and deeper and deeper in. But I knew that it was necessary. And so, I had to get to the root of what was causing me not to allow myself to receive.
Yeah.
And, um, it was painful in the sense, but I had to go in. I had to connect back to that root in a sense,
Mm,
um, allow myself to let go of those things and heal through those things so I can reconnect deeper within myself. And then that's when I was able to start working on, you know, the higher chakras and work on my heart and really allow for that full healing,
mm,
which is just it's a constant thing as things come up, right?
mm,
Um,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. But I knew that it was a deeper thing for me, so I don't say it so like it's so easy to just let things go and let things flow, but it was the instance where I was so uncomfortable that I knew I had to face the shit
Yeah.
to get deep down to figure out what is this, what caused this, what experiences, and it's going back to those places which can be triggering
Yeah.
and
Hard to,
can be difficult, you
totally.
know
Yeah. It's
But
really,
how are we going to get through to the other side, Nicola?
mhm. Yeah. It's feeling those deep emotions. It is the anguish, the deep feelings of suffering or shame. And yeah.
And that was a lot of what came up is the feeling of shame, in those instances when a lot of times you can experience trauma. Is mostly like, as a child, we're not really maybe taught understand these things. And I go back, that was what the root of the cause was for me. I had a traumatic experience we had talked about earlier, but not to delve into that too much. But it was a deal of me asking for something, and as a result of me asking for something, it led to a very traumatic experience. So that was something that was so deeply ingrained in me that I vowed to myself that in that instance, as a small child, that I would never ask for anything again.
Yeah, wow. So that's a huge,
Huge,
yeah,
huge.
huge block, bow. Yeah, huge shutting
And
down of so much.
oh,
Massive,
oh,
massive.
fuck yeah. So then you go into that masculinity. We're talking about me connecting to that femininity, where it's more of the young energy in the sense of, okay, now I need to protect.
Mm, mm, mm.
I need to protect what I have left within me, because at that point I was feeling shame. I was feeling guilt for things that were not even my fault. I was a small child. I was assaulted, and that was something that I carried for years of shame through all throughout my adolescent years till just before I turned 18. And so many years of carrying that resulted in poor decisions, mostly lack of self-confidence, um, not trusting others, and mostly not trusting myself,
Mm. Or
you
trusting
know?
too much as well, like just
Oh,
not having like the compass to be able to discern people's intentions, because there's like,
oh yeah.
yeah, because when we're shutting all that down,
Oh
like
my gosh.
the intuition is gone, right? The intuition
Yes.
is gone, and you're not picking up on that. So yeah, you're taking people at face value rather than like being able to feel, any intentions or anything else that's there. Yeah. Yeah, oh, totally. And it's like a numbness. And if you shut one thing down, then you shut everything down, right? And yeah, I've experienced that, before of making poor decisions. Yeah, because of
Yeah.
being in fight, flight, or freeze, and fawn. I went into fawn a lot, where it was just very much like freeze and fawn, um, states where, yeah, you just can't
Mm,
let things happen around you, because
mm,
you just did not
mm.
know how to react or respond to everything. It was too overwhelming. So systems were on lockdown and shutdown because it's, yeah, yeah, totally, totally, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
And
a
so yeah, that was a point where it became stagnant, to the point, like, regardless of that shell or that wall that I was putting up in that instance, because I knew, like, as things kept resurfacing, whether it was friendships, relationships, stuff that was happening, things I allowed to happen,
mm,
being very trusting, kind of like wearing my heart on my sleeve. I used to think like, oh, that's a good thing. I'm so open, I'm so trusting. And it's like, I wouldn't think that people could be out to wish bad or harm me, but yeah,
mm,
you
mm.
know. And so, a lot of that was like, okay, I definitely need to work on, this self-love, having a little more respect, which led me to like, what do I feel so ashamed about? What is the root of this?
Yeah.
And really going back to the root cause of it, and really connecting back to my root, that core being, and going in for the win.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
totally. And going in with that courage to be like, I don't want to be stuck here anymore. It's that stuck energy, and that's when you're in that. Where when I was in that state, it's like you keep on repeating the cycles, and the
Oh yeah.
and the repetition is really quick, because it's like you're constantly repeating, because you've got that same energy, and it's a nervous
Oh my
energy.
gosh.
The things that keep showing up are like boom, 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 like trauma, 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 more repeating patterns and repeating cycles, because you're just responding, you're just reacting to the world around you. So yeah, like sometimes it can, what's the tipping point again? What's the tipping point to be like enough is enough? Like
Mm.
how do I get myself out of this? Like what does that take? You know, do I, yeah, Is there medication? Is there a therapist? Is there a psychologist? Or do I need breath work or meditation, or do I need grounding? Sometimes when you're in that, you just don't know what you need. Sometimes you just need all of it. It's like
Oh yeah.
that's too much, and you're like, so discerning where you start, and when you're in that state, you're like, well, I'm just in survival mode. I was just in survival mode for a long time. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and I can't remember what pulled me out of it. I think it was like art therapy was one of the first things that I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, drawing all your fucking emotions out when I was in my 20s. Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, I was looking for my little one. She got quiet there. I think she was listening to us. Um, yeah, and I think too, finding yourselves in those moments where I I didn't really know which direction to take. I was very blessed in the instance where I met some beautiful healers that were led to my path, and I was led back to them. And so I'm very thankful for that. Um, and I've found great inspiration to try to be the best version of myself and gather those experiences that
Mm,
hopefully I can help to keep the light lit for somebody on that dark path.
mm,
Um, so by allowing myself to be there and be vulnerable in those instances, um, it's kind of that giving and receiving aspect too. So that in itself has molded and bloomed into something beautiful. So knowing that all that work has led us here so we can enjoy that, I find great enjoyment knowing that I can share a kind word with somebody, that I can give somebody a hug, that I can give somebody a word of encouragement or speak from my experience wholeheartedly, truly, and fully be myself and share that with somebody in this wealth of health to get them along the way.
mm.
And there's that reciprocity of giving and receiving and allowing that flow too in that universal love and knowing that it's all a part of it
Yeah.
and moving forward from the guilt, the shame, and release so we can allow space for new growth, that transformation, and that deep healing. Um, but indeed, it takes courage, and we're talking about reaching out to our ancestors, and I've talked to people that say, I don't know who my ancestors are. I don't know where to start. I don't have any type of genealogy or reference. I say, find that thing that connects, find that thing that lights you up.
Yeah.
For me, it's been nature. It's like been so healing and saving. Like I have my feet on the ground and I can hear the wind through the trees, and those are my ancestors talking to me.
Mm, that the earth. Yeah, it's sitting on the earth, for me. They walked the earth, we walked it. So everything is really connected into her.
Absolutely. We're all here. We're all here in this time, in this space. I'm just picking up trash along the way in the sense of, I had to take the trash out earlier. So if I see like things polluted or what, how can I use this and maybe be resourceful along the way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe clean it up and try to beautify it a little bit as I'm walking my path.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
It's shifting that perspective, and what I can do to um, change that, and in essence, what can I do like the best with this time and this space with what I have?
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Being resourceful way with what's around us, and not yearning for something that's not here now, and just being in the moment, even though we can strive for new things. But it's like, yeah, it's that, it comes back to that being present in the moment. Yeah.
Absolutely. And those are those lessons that I learned in the valley.
Yeah.
In the valley, I learned to plant seeds because I knew I was going to be down there for a while, and I've got to, something's got to grow from here.
Mm,
You know, it's, oh my gosh, I'm not surrounded by these big mountains. How am I going to get out of here?
yeah.
What am I going to do with my time while I'm here? And, it's finding those lessons and those opportunities wherever you're at in the walk, good times, bad times, indifferent, and all the in between. It's all part of the song. It's how do you sing?
Yeah.
How is it playing out? What are you doing with that music and that sweet melody?
Yeah.
And it's what you make of it, man.
And it's like, but how is the universe playing the music that you understand? Like it's understanding how you interpret your surroundings. How do I interpret everything that's happening
Mm,
around me and
mm, mm.
like signs and symbols and the things that show up and the messages and like what meaning do I attribute to things? So that, you know, when things happen around us, it has substance. It's not just navigating an empty life where nothing
Oh,
has any meaning. It's anchoring yourself in every moment because you're attributing, you know, meaning and emotion to things around you so that you can feel it. So yeah.
absolutely. And that goes back to the allowing, is making the most of every moment, shifting that perspective, you know, putting off that lens to say, well, how am I looking at things? Am I looking at it deeper? Am I in the moment?
Mm,
I'm looking at myself smile right now because I'm enjoying this moment in this space, you know? Um, it is a matter of perspective, and it comes down to how we see things and how we choose to see and perceive things in that sense. What you're making your reality to be, not focusing on that. Yes, I've gained those lessons, and some of them were really difficult and painful
yeah.
and troublesome and challenging for sure. Um, a slow, steady climb in some instances, I've been to the mountains high, so I can look down at the valleys low and remember every step it has taken me to get myself the fuck out of there. Yeah. I've been in the valleys low, fucking wading in the water.
The
You
stagnant.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you climb a little further, you get upstream where the water's running, though. So it's having the courage to take it step by step. It's not always a sprint. It may
Yeah.
be a step by step, but every step gets you there.
You have to be.
Um, if you allow yourself to be open to it, and going back to the receiving and allowing, I just um there is a root cause. If you allow yourself, for me, I had to allow myself to go there, to dig deeper, to get there, to understand, so I can make those changes and pivot, right? You mentioned pivoting in
Yeah.
the future, like, ooh, yeah, I've experienced this before. Okay, it's just
Mm-mm.
a little bit smoother now,
Yeah.
a little bit smoother of a transition, and
Mm.
not so difficult anymore.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
And
And yeah. It's not going to be a smooth ride, you know, but it's what we came here for. It's all. Wouldn't it be boring if everything just worked out?
yes, it certainly would. It's been quite entertaining, we'll just say that.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just learning to laugh a lot more. And now when I look at situations where I feel like I'm being so hard on myself, or like over critical, or like, lighten up a little bit,
Hmm.
laugh, smile, like enjoy the fucking ride,
Yeah.
right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, brings it back to the courage, right? Courage to be in the moment, to allow it, you know, to allow ourselves to receive everything that is on offer. Really. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a beauty when too, like, in giving that you can receive, finding ourselves in a better place. Like I know for me, like the journeys, the many trails, the many offshoots that has brought me here.
Mm,
Wow, looking back at it, it's like, wow,
mm,
that's fucking bloody amazing.
yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know and allowing myself to just really acknowledge like how far we've come, whether it's something big you've overcome or little,
Mm, 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 mm.
and allowing ourselves to be in that space to receive that, like in gratitude, trying to make a really effort to um just either state, if I'm not always writing it, because I have a couple of gratitude journals.
Mm,
So if I feel like I'm just not able to write that day,
mm,
vocalizing it.
mm.
Thank you, Mother Earth, for this beautiful tree. Thank you for this bird outside chirping outside my window, and being more present in that moment of being thankful that I have a roof over my head today
Mm,
that is sheltering me from the rain and the storms.
mm,
The little things that
mm,
are truly the big things. And I have so much more than many people have, and I have a lot to be thankful for. And
mm.
um, just trying to shift my perspective in that, especially when I find myself in those tunnels,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
The peaks, the valleys, and yeah, the tunnels. Yeah, they're different. It's like,
The beautiful thing, Nicola, like I've met this beautiful, wonderful, wise woman named Nicola along the way, all the way from the AZ to the NZ, and you are a continued source of inspiration and motivation, and you're beautiful inside and out. And I am so thankful that our paths have crossed, and so we've met again. And I can just say truly, my friend, that what is wonderful is when we have this courage to step up into our badass selves and go deep, and hope that we can find ourselves in those moments where we can share
mm, mm,
and care, and in essence receive that care and that sharing of love right back to ourselves.
yeah.
you know that's where I'm at, man. What am I reflecting back to me? Yeah, I may wear my heart in my sleeve in a different way that I can authentically be myself,
Mm,
but knowing now what also, on the flip note, I'm allowing into my space,
yeah.
in the sense that I respect myself and love myself a little bit more because I've gone through the guilt and the shame to fucking get here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You,
Yes,
you know?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And so that we can recognize that in others and meet them right where they're at.
Mm, mm,
And it's, in essence, meet ourselves and be real with ourselves, and that in itself is worth all the wealth of just that knowing and that comfort of being like facing all the multifacets of myself,
yeah. Understand.
um fuck, and hopefully pick somebody up along the way,
That's a really potent, yeah, aspect to kind of wind up on and to, yeah, to anchor that point in because that really is, to get to that point. That is, yeah.
I'm speaking from experience. So I've connected with a friend I recently met here over the last few months. It's kind of been down, she's been dealing with some things from loved ones. And I'm like, you know what, anytime I'm in the area, hey, are you around? Let me go take you to, let's go get an ice cream shake, or hey, let's go for a drive, um so if I've been feeling really tired, no, you just need to get out. So I said, hey, I'm in the neighborhood, I'm gonna pick you up. Timing worked out great. I
Mm,
just finished up with my program. She's like, I'm just getting off. I'm like, cool, I'll be there in 15 minutes.
yeah, amazing.
And So I said, let's go for a ride. I had been wanting to visit here in Southern Arizona, one of our national parks. And I
Mm.
said, I just really feel like I got to go and connect, connect to the cactus and just fucking be out there. And so, sure enough, I said, get in my truck. We're gonna load it up. We're going on a ride. It
Mm.
was so fucking wild. So I told you I had been in my truck, right? And it had been
Yeah.
raining, it had been painting.
Yeah.
And so before I had left, I had packed up some things. I made some really cool wraps. I'm trying to do like these healthier snacks. So I made these like spinach wraps with veggies and like smoked turkey. And I packed some cheese sticks and some yogurt and some coconut water and some pineapple juice. And I had packed for two,
Mm.
right?
Wow. Yeah.
So that next morning, I'm like, well, shit, we're gonna go have a picnic.
Yeah.
I've got lunch for two people. You down for the ride?
Mm.
And it was fucking beautiful
Oh.
because it's like just finding ourselves in that moment of, in the sense, like, been here, done that. I've walked through the fucking valleys. So
Mm.
we decided to go on this hike, and I had this place in mind, and I'm like, I don't know how to get there. Like,
Mm.
I have an idea the direction I'm going, and I was like, girl, you got to help me out with this map. And I was like, you got to get on it. You're not paying attention here. And I was just like, you know what? At some point, I was like, I'm just going to trust that I'm going to get there.
Mm.
So literally, we are fucking driving. We are driving through washes. We are driving through washboard, and I am winding. And then there's a sign that says like a one-way lane,
Oh. Wow.
right? So I'm driving and I'm driving, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, but I just got to trust that I'm going to get there. And so I'm like, fuck, this seems really far, because I think it was like 9 miles in or something. I was like,
Oh.
shit, am I ever going to get there?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And so we get there, and I'm like, oh shit, I see a sign, and I'm like, we're here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was getting a little freaked out there along the
Yeah.
way. I wasn't quite sure. There might have been a hint of doubt, but I figured, I've got a, full tank of gas. We'll get there at some point. And so we did. So we're at this top of this hill, and essentially there's this beautiful site with petroglyphs. So you had shared some of the spiral energy,
Mm.
on the Order of the Dark Moon, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, this has been coming through. So I'm like, we gotta walk. It's like a mile and a half, about another mile and a quarter through a wash. So we had to walk down. So from the hill, we had to walk down through a wash, and then up these stairs. And then there's this whole quarry of rocks like
Oh.
piled up, and there's a sign that says like rattlesnake area.
Wow.
So you're walking through this wash, and then you see this sign, and you're like, fuck,
Oh.
that's cool, but that's kind of fucking scary, because like it's you with like a walkway like this, and there's literally a sign that says rattlesnake area. You're like, so I've
Yeah,
just
die
walked
out
through this
there.
fucking valley.
Yeah.
Now I'm walking through fucking venomous snakes that could come out any minute,
Yeah.
but I've got to get there. I've got to get there.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of curved around to these steps, and then it just opens up. It just opens
Wow.
up. And I'm just like, oh, it had been raining. So there's kind of some of the dew on there. And then there was this beautiful like cactus bush. It's called an ocotillo that sprouts out, that is blooming right now. So it has these red blooms that attract hummingbirds. So
Oh.
like as I'm walking, I'm witnessing like a wash, like barren, no water,
Yeah.
to a potential venomous snake den, through steps. Now you're climbing through this cactus blooming, feeding
Wow.
a hummingbird, and off to the distance, a mountain covered in snow. And as we turn around, there's these huge face boulders with spirals.
Yeah.
So the
Wow.
petroglyphs were spirals. And
Oh.
one that was like number 13. I'm going to have to send you pictures. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. You sent some,
So,
but yeah, I zoomed in on some of them. Fucking amazing.
oh my gosh. So by
Yeah.
the time I got there, Nicola, I was like, I turn and I look back, and we're facing west.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, one of the rocks had a sun on it. So
Wow.
it had like the sun and the moon, right? And so this is during like this last lunar eclipse. So this is like during the eclipse, like the day. And
Yeah.
so we're up there and the sun is going like, and it was in perfect alignment with that rock.
Wow.
So as I turned, it was like obviously they knew what they were riding. Like this is
Yeah.
where the sun sets.
Yeah. Far out.
But as we got to the top of it, and so I looked over and I looked over and I was like, and you could see that alignment. And
Wow.
the rays were just penetrating. It's like the rock, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I looked over at my friend. I'm like, check this out, girl. I'm like, do you see that? She's like, yeah. I'm like, do you see that rock? Yeah. I'm like, you see how it has the sun? I said, now turn this way.
Mm,
And so it was like those moments you
mm,
share,
yeah.
right? Those moments you share along the way. And so that is a memory that is stored here within the heart.
Mm,
And we talked about integrating, right? So getting to the root of shit to make space to integrate those memories that I want to hold on to, right? No
yes.
shame, no trauma, no bullshit,
Yeah. For sure.
but
Beautiful.
bringing into my space, allowing into my space those beautiful sunlit rays of golden hope on the horizon.
Yes. Yeah.
Fucking awesome, you
And
know?
all those and amazing memories. Yeah. And yeah. Totally. Totally.
And hey, dude,
Oh,
she
what a
was up for the
journey.
ride. She
What
was
a
up for
journey.
the ride, and it was
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
She was like, I don't know where we're going.
I didn't know where we were going. So we got back down, and I ended up looking at the map because I was driving and I couldn't see it. And I was like, hey, girl, I'm going to have you take over the directions here, And she just, I don't, it was not, I guess not there. And I was like, you know what, dude? So you just got to go with the flow. You know where you're going.
Yeah.
Just follow that instinct. You got your compass set up here.
Yeah.
You're gonna get there.
Yeah.
So by
Irony.
the time we got back, Nicola,
Yeah.
I pulled open the map right for the park,
Yeah.
and I was like, huh,
Huh.
there was an exit and an entrance to that site,
Right there.
like right there.
You went the you took the scenic route.
I took the scenic route through washes, one lane. I mean, fucking rattlesnake gulches, whatever, dude. We got there. I'm like, I don't know why I feel like I've been here before because the sun is setting. I'm like, dude, I do not remember the road being this long. Like, I don't remember it taking me this long to get here. I
Exactly.
was like, I'm thinking to myself, I bet you I'm going to go out this way. I bet you this is going to take me right to the main road. And sure enough, it did.
Amazing. So the
What are you
road
going to
home
do,
was
right?
smoother. The road you got the smooth ride home. You had to really work for you had to, yeah, we sometimes have to really work for that prize, right? That's yeah.
All worth the view.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That. Absolutely. It's a great way to bring it home. Most definitely. It is all worth the adventure. Every step along the way, every bump, every pothole,
Yeah.
every scary moment, I don't know what the fuck, I might fall off this cliff. I don't know where I'm going. This is fucking scary. It is all worth it, man. And I say that from experience, fully, truly, wholeheartedly, most definitely 100%. Don't give up on yourself, man. Every step counts.
Yeah.
Every fucking step counts.
Oh,
Every step along the way.
1000%. Most definitely. Most definitely. Yeah. That's a great way to wrap up. I love that. Wow. Yeah. Receiving and allowing, right? It's really is a place to get to.
Receiving and allowing.
Yeah. Mm. Receiving your wisdom, Sophia. I love um, the storytelling and the way you paint your pictures of, yeah, the wisdom and how you articulate, through bringing the key points home is really special. So thank you for bringing that through. for Witchy Talk. It's amazing.
And thank you for holding space, Nicola, with that big, beautiful, loving, receiving heart of yours. You hold space for many. You're a beautiful healer and definitely a wise woman. And I'm so happy to be sharing these space and this moments with you along the way. And
Thank you.
I continue to lift you up and lift us up and all of those on the journey, on the path.
Mm.
Uh, Keep our eyes open, our hearts open. There's beauty on the horizon if we just are willing to take in that panoramic view and catch a rainbow and enjoy the storms and dance in the rain and paint that beautiful picture. The world is your canvas.
Joy all.
And yeah,
Mm.
enjoy the moments, right, Nicola?
Have the courage to be present in the moment, definitely. Yeah. And that's a note to myself. Note to self.
Yeah. Speaking of, I know that you've been very courageous along the way and along the journey. For anyone tuning in and listening, um, in your wealth of wisdom, what is a word of encouragement you can share if I'm finding myself in that valley right now?
Yeah. It's hard, but sit with it and feel it all because it's the only way really to get with the other side. It's like you've got to go through it. There's no sidestepping. If you're in it, it's yeah, allowing yourself to feel it all because then the other side is closer than you think if you can allow yourself. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. I'm taking that with me.
Me too.
Oh, I'm taking that with me. And there's a waterfall on the side of that mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, this has been
Absolutely.
an amazing witchy talk. Yeah, free flowing, going
Yeah.
with the flow. We had Carly in here and then you popped in later and we're just rolling with it, right? It's just
Fuck yeah.
how we grow. Yeah, there's no perfectionism. It's just allowing. Yeah, allowing. So yeah, from the NZ to the AZ with so much love to you, Sophia. Amazing. So
Peace and love right back to you. Most definitely.
cool. All right, we're signing off for now. Mhm. Bye now.
Ciao. Bye.